Prepare for adventure. Welcome to Scotty Huggins Unsupervised, the podcast where host Scotty Huggins dives deep into captivating conversations with extraordinary individuals who dare to push the limits. Whether it's racing motorcycles or exploring the unknown, Scott's boundless curiosity takes center stage. Let the unsupervised journey begin.
On this episode of Scotty Huggins Unsupervised, we have Toby Hedrics back in the studio, fresh from his Dakar debut. Toby shares his experience and gives us all the behind-the-scenes footage that no one's seen yet. So let's go. The marathon stage looked fucking huge. It was like 500 Ks a day. Mm-hmm. And maybe more if you didn't get to a certain checkpoint.
Oh, yeah. So there was the chrono, which was, I think, day 2 and 3.
2 and 3, yeah.
Yep. And then we had a day, just a normal day, and then we had the marathon stage on 5 and 6.
Oh, so the chrono was what? You camped out overnight still, though?
That was where there was like a continuous 900K stage, basically. So you start the stage as normal.
Yeah, right.
And you got as far as you could within that stage. I think from about the 350K mark to the 700, they had 8 different bivouacs or, campsites set up every about 50 Ks.
And depending where you got to is where you...
And you just went as far as you could before the shut-off time. But the further you got along, the earlier the shut-off time was. So for the first bivouac, I think it was 5 o'clock, the latest you could go past there without having to stop. But then by the time you got to the third and the fourth, it was like 4 o'clock. Because I didn't want you getting too far on the first day either for those top guys.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure.
If that makes... Yeah, it's easy when you look at it on paper, hard to explain. But it's... Yeah, I think I got to...
I've actually got that one paper. Have a look at the picture of that one.
I got to, I couldn't tell you what number. I think it might have been 6. And there was a group at 7 and we were the one further back at 6.
Yeah,
so I was the second group or the second bivouac. But it was a long day. But leave in the dark and get back in the dark, essentially. I've never raced like that before.
That's sick.
It is cool.
It'd be hard.
Really cool. But it doesn't, because you haven't got a target, and I did have a target in mind. I want to get that 600K done, and I got that done. But because you're just riding for as long as you can ride, it's not like I have to get a certain, like the Ks aren't in your head. It's time.
Yeah, that's the chrono there, stage 2.
Yep.
992 Ks.
Yeah. That's it. Where are the camps? Maybe
so CPV 3, CPV 4, the brake zones, all the brake zones.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking the other way. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So we were brake zone 6, I believe.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Where I pulled up.
Nearly everyone else got to 7. Did anyone get to 8?
No. So the reason why they only got to 7 is because we didn't. Well, you leave brake zone or that number 6, and I think it was about 15 Ks. Then you had a refuel, which you had to stop for 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So that's
neutral
why
area.
that neutralisation. That's why they only got to 8.
How long's the neutralisation? Because that's a time neutralisation, like a, what do you call it?
It's a service
area, which means the time gets cut off. Hey, and then you just hit do you hit a gate like a?
It's all on your
like
GPS.
GPS gate.
Yeah, and your refuels and your neutralisations are signed. That's the only signage on the whole course is when you come into a refueling or something.
What, everything else is on your?
Yeah. So when you're coming into a neutralisation or any kind of control, it's always signposted. Like they got CP9, like it further along at kilometre 790. What is that? 729. Sorry.
726.
So that'll have that would have had signposted. But all your cautions and stuff whilst you're out racing, there's nothing physically on the ground.
Yeah, right.
And even your speed zones and stuff, they're not marked. It's only your controls that are marked. Physically signed on the ground, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, that was wild. Like the start of the stage, what was it? It was quite wide open. There was everything in there, though, as you can see, those little sand dunes, but they were shocking, like sort of windblown, only 2-story high sort of things, and you up one flat out for about 50 metres and up over the next. Like they weren't flowy.
It's a bit like Simpson Desert.
Yeah, really wind blown and just shitty. Heaps of soft pockets in them, so you're getting caught out in those.
The sand looked really soft. Like there's a picture. Have a look. There's a picture of Toby going down the dune. It's maybe midway through the pictures, and like you're going down the dune, and you're like roosting, but your front wheel's also roosting because it's so soft on the other side of the dune where it's been like wind blown. Like it's almost like fesh sand almost. Look at how soft that is. Your front wheel's roosting. Like it looks like you're going to wash out if you're not sitting back.
Yeah, essentially. But you're going down, an incline which you couldn't come up. Like that's how steep they are.
Yeah, right.
If we had to go up that, there'd be either a line, you'd be going on a 45 or you'd be taking a line around it.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be going straight up it. That's how steep some of them are. But you can see in the background where the sand's blown over those dunes in the background.
Yeah, how steep it is.
Yeah, but you can see on the other side of it, obviously, you got a steep side and quite a nice side, depending which way you hit them is what you.
Yeah, you could probably ride up that other ridge.
Yeah, but you can see that other ridge from just in the background. You can see the ripples in it and how it is. You can tell how soft that is just by looking at it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It looks like it's almost been like an avalanche where the sand's actually fallen to a sharp edge at the bottom.
Yeah, and you can see all the rocks amongst it. That's what it was like. You're either riding in rocks or sand, or if not, a mix of both, where you just don't get that here.
This year looked so tough. Like, I think this is one of the toughest Dakars in many, many years that I've seen. And I mean, I'm watching it from the TV, so it's hard to tell. But did you find that did everyone talk about how tough it was? Because it was really rocky.
Obviously my first, so I'm going to say it's the hardest I've ever done, but it was really challenging. But even being in it, you could feel that they really turned up the notch and they designed it and they really could work out, I guess, the places to go to make it tricky for the navigation or physically demanding, depending on which part of the country they're in and what tracks to use. But everyone that was there, like Andrew Houlihan, Chucky, all the guys that have ridden nearly all the Saudi events have said that was the toughest one they've raced in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Definitely, if not all through South America as well.
I think South America was difficult for other reasons. Like the altitude was a real problem in South America, like 4,700 meters or whatever is riding a bike, that was really difficult. Even bikes that wouldn't run, because it's so high.
And so cold.
But so, I mean, I think it took them a few years to really get Saudi right as far as Dakar is concerned. I think the empty quarter they spend a lot of time in, and that was cool. Like they spent 2 or 3 days in there, and that's cool because it's difficult and it's sandy and sand dunes are hard. But in the earlier stages of the Dakar, they didn't really find good terrain to put guys through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The dunes were. They felt like this year the dunes, they put us through them, but they weren't the make or break. They put us through the dunes because it's Dakar and you ride dunes.
Of course.
It wasn't like that. Everyone, and it feels like that when you're riding them too. Times are quite tight when you're in them because there's not really nowhere where you can really make time unless you're obviously just by riding quicker through them. But when it comes to navigation, there's nowhere where you can really make time in the dunes because you're just going point to point and it just comes down to how fast you can ride the dunes. But in the other terrain, there's so many other variables.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it looked so rocky. Like there's photos of you riding, it looked like Morocco almost, like how rocky Morocco is in general.
Yeah.
And it just like these big gullies and how you're riding fast through that stuff. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, we get a lot of rocky stuff here, but it seems like everywhere you go, just off the track, is like these big gully stones that you could just easily cartwheel in.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call myself a rock rider either, but I feel just being on tracks or anywhere is probably where I was strongest because it was a lot of those guys aren't comfortable in that terrain.
Yeah, for sure.
Or not used to it, but I was really feeling good in a lot of it, and it is challenging for sure, but it's a different, probably not so far ahead with what you're doing. You're like more so what's in front of you and navigating through that. But it's, navigating through rocks is also a lot harder as well, which is 100%. Another reason they put you through them because you can't see tracks.
Yes. So. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's a bit like when we do hard enduro. Sometimes I'll get to the top of a hill and you're like, where the fuck does the track go?
Where's everyone else been?
There's like rock everywhere and you're like, where does the track go? I don't know. And it's like, maybe it's arrowed or not bunted, but it has like a few ribbons in the trees and you're like, where are we going here?
Yeah.
And because it's so rocky, you just can't get tire marks on the ground, so you can't see.
Yeah, like there was quite a few times where you'd go up onto like a plateau or they'd take you to a crest and essentially you're not riding on any kind of soil or sand. It's literally just rock. And you'd ride along for a little bit and that's where they'd make it tricky. They'd compile probably 3 or 4 notes, only 100 meters apart, but have them all separate. And you got to navigate off the crest to find the road that may only be 200 meters across. But you got to follow those 4 notes to get to there and then be heading on the right cap heading once you're heading out.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that kind of stuff. They'd send you into terrain just to get you confused and then quite often you'd come straight back out. But but
that's good. That's kind of good. Adds to the I don't know, the difficulty of the race.
Well, for sure. And it varied so much. Like the terrain, you'd cross what you'd have to do, 300-400 Ks here to get the varied terrain. There you can cover it in 100 Ks from sand to rock to, riverbeds. It varies really quickly.
I was actually reading on some of the stage notes. No, it was actually the first stage note where it's talking about, fast sections through wadis, or fast sections through smooth terrain, and then sections through wadis, and then it would tell you the different types of terrain between different parts of the checkpoints.
Yeah,
which was interesting.
Some of that was good. Like the one that you brought up before, that they're pretty vague as far as the percentage of what you're going through. But the breakdown when they give you dot points of between this kilometre and kilometre, whatever, what the tracks are like, whether they're fast open or they close up or the navigation's tricky. They were pretty spot on with that, which was I don't know if I've got any photos in there of them, but they were more like a dot point.
Yeah, there was
of breakdown of the stage.
I think there was one photo, one in the PowerPoint presentation, Harry. If you get the PowerPoint up as well as a separate,
they were really good with that. But the one you showed before, they're pretty vague with the percentage of you'll be riding through sand for 50% and then gravel for the other 20. Well.
Yeah.
They were never really spot on, but as far as their breakdowns that they'd give us, and they'd do that every night. There was a briefing at 8 o'clock every night.
Yeah. So they do a presentation. They do a presentation as well. They do a presentation the day before and a briefing.
Yeah. So yeah. All their presentation each night, a briefing each night, and I didn't go to too many of them. They just threw that in I was in bed a lot of times by that point.
I was going to say, that's actually exactly what I was going to say next. Is it look like when you're on a team, it looks like there is some time to do things or maybe there's not. It just seems like there is from the photos and stuff. Is it, how hard is it to squeeze everything into your day, right? Because I know that at Safari or even Condo 750 or any race we go to that's multi days, there's no time to do anything. You feel like you've got no time. Like by the time you're actually getting to bed, it's like 10 o'clock at night. You finish doing your notes and highlighting your notes or whatever you're doing. I mean, you're not doing that anymore because you've got digital road book. But, eating food and just getting things done, little maintenance things. Even if you haven't crashed the bike, you just need to do a little bit of maintenance, change your tyre, whatever. I mean, you're doing it all yourself, of course. So that's like Malimoto style. Whereas on a team, you've got a mechanic to help you and work on the bike. But there's still a lot to do between finishing your 500 kilometres of special plus 200 kilometres of transport per day, which takes up probably you're starting in the dark, obviously, and then finishing at 2, 3, 4 o'clock.
So the earliest was probably at 4:30. Between 6, you'd take off every morning. Yeah, and then we're getting back. I think the earliest might have been 2, and the latest being 5 or 6. And then so those days where you're getting back late, all you've got time for is eat, shower, straight to bed. The other days, you'd eat probably 2 meals. You get a meal when you get off the bike. You'd go shower. You get a rub down, and you'd rest. But you've always got something to do, but you got to prioritise because there's only so many hours in the day. So what's most important? But generally, you'd have time to get off the bike, have your shower, have something to eat, go get your rub down, have a debrief with the mechanic if there's anything you want to change or anything that popped up or anything during the day. And then it was rest as much as you could. But then generally you'd get, I wouldn't lay down in bed until I was going to bed, and that'd be about 8 o'clock at night. But just in the time it takes to get off the bike, have a shower, eat, that takes up nearly 2 hours just to do that once you're back. So if you got back at 2 at the earliest time, there's 4, and then you get back to your camp, and then you might be doing something like you'd get your notes for the next day or something like that. But you really don't have much time to do any of it most days.
So you're just sort of riding blind a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it'd be even worse for guys that race in Malimoto because they're going to do all their maintenance as well.
Well, they really don't have time.
They really don't have time.
There's no shower or food or rub downs for them. It's just, tent and spanner.
Which is fucking pretty crazy when you think about it. Like those guys are really doing it hard. I mean, Dakar's hard enough as it is. But those guys are really doing it hard. And I was surprised, at even just photos and stuff that were getting taken. You're like, there's a bit of time there, but it seems like there's time, but there's really not any time.
There's not. It's being on the team, I guess, obviously helps a lot. Everything's at your fingertips. You got the mechanic there. You've got information. You just ask the question. They'll go find it out for you or anything like that. So a lot of your time just comes back to getting your day packs ready, getting prepped for the next day, getting as much rest in as you can. Just trying to recover because you've got 14 days of this. So it compiles. If you're not feeling good, if you're feeling terrible on day 2, you're going to be feeling very shit by day 14. So you really just want to get yourself, you don't want to exert any more energy than you have to.
Yeah, for sure.
Because at St. Asia or Condo, they're 4 or 2 day events. Like you can push your way through those no matter how fatigued you are.
I was thinking about this the other day when I was looking at the photos you sent me, and I'm like, this is like four safaris. You know, realistically, it's 4 safaris on top of each other.
Yeah, with more challenge, with the navigation and terrain turned up, tenfold. So
yeah, for sure. There's a photo of Chucky and you there. Chucky had such a fucking good race this year. Like,
so that right there, that's the start of the very first stage. We had prologue, and this is the start of the first stage. And he came over as you have plenty of time at the start, and he was just running me through my tablet. But there's different. You can see on you probably can't zoom in, but you can on my tablet screen. There's different parameters you can set up on that.
Yeah.
But how you want the waypoints to come and go off your screen and things like that. And simple things like brightness and tech font, but also you can change the layout of the screen, whether you want all the info on there, like you can have your cap heading, your kilometres, all of that just on your iPad or just on the tablet, or you can only have your notes on there, so it'll only show about 3 or 4 of your tulips. But so he was running me through that off of day one, just with how the waypoints is set up on it, so it can tell you. Once you validate a waypoint, it can disappear straight away, or you can have it where it sits on your screen until you get to exactly where that waypoint is, because it validates from 100 metres out or not 80 metres out.
Yeah.
So if as soon as it validates, you can have it that it disappears off your screen, where I liked it so it told me once I got to exactly the point. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But a lot of the faster guys take it off. But Chucky's like, I hate that. He's like, how do you like it? I said, I'd rather it stay on there. And he's like, the team's taking it off. He's like, no, well, we'll put it back on there. Yeah. So he's put it back. It would seem you could
it would seem you could get lost if you didn't happen until you're right on the waypoint. Because you let's say you're 80 metres out.
Yeah.
And it goes away. Well, now you start to change direction again, and you're going to be out by how many degrees that is off the 80 metres. You know.
Exactly.
Which makes it difficult.
But no, it was cool being there to witness what he was doing and be around for that was crazy. And he'd come most mornings, we'd interact like that, and the guy's battling he's holding the lead the whole race.
Yeah, literally.
And he'd cool, calm and collected. Like, what have I got to worry about? You know what I mean? Like, he just settled my nerves and put me in a different headspace as well. Like,
and that's kind of, I think that's kind of half of racing is just being that. And I'm not like that, but I think that is half of it. Is just being calm once you think. And that's actually one of the things I like about rally in general is that the start of a rally is when you take off to do your transport. And no matter how much I try to calm my nerves, I still feel nervous at the start of a rally. But it's transport, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as I get led away to go on,
I go, shit, I go left or right. Which way to go?
Literally, right?
Did I tighten that up?
But it's all good because then you've got that time to ride the bike for transport, whether it's 40 Ks, 100 Ks, whatever it is. And then you the nervousness is gone. And then at the start of the stage, I'm calm. Whether it's at a motocross race or any other race like Fink or any motocross race or whatever, enduros, you get fucking nervous at the start of the race.
I used to remember Fink more so far out. I got nervous. Like, but within yourself, you wind yourself up so much.
For sure.
It's not really external, anyone else putting the pressure on you. It's all within your own head. But rally racing, you don't get, I suppose it doesn't build up that much, but at the same time, you can't let it. Like it reward, the calmer you are and the more in the moment and level-headed you are, that's what rally racing rewards that.
It rewards discipline and level-headedness. It does. Yep. I agree with that.
Yeah, and you come into it, you just got to be so almost look at things from a helicopter view, whether you're coming into an intersection or whether you've got a bike problem where you just don't have tunnel vision and just thinking narrow in on a problem or a solution straight away. You really got to look out, go, hang on a minute, we came in from there, we've got to go there, and join the dots. But you got to do that in about 10 seconds whilst riding.
Exactly right. Yeah. It's such a complicated game, really. I love it so much.
It's just all the different aspects all piled into one. It's not just one strength. It's all of it, which is why I love it too, I guess. And that's why it really it's kept me racing. Without it, without St. Asia, I probably wouldn't be racing anymore. To be honest, I was over racing by the time I started rallying. Essentially, I just had enough of the Finks and the Hatters and that intensity. I just wanted to enjoy riding my bike. And St. Asia started, and I gave it a go, and bloody loved it. And then, yeah, it's just built up to where it is now.
And that's kind of one of the things I said to you the other day, like, and I'm not sure if I put it across that way, but like, I haven't been this motivated to ride since I was, racing New South Wales championships, enduro championships and stuff like that, and pushing for that sort of stuff when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
And now I'm just as motivated. And do you know why I get motivated? Because I get fucking lost. I'm like winning or out in front on the podium, very close to the pointy end, and then I get fucking lost. It drives me insane. And I'm like, I have to fix this problem. I don't know how to fix it, but I need to fix it. It's driving me mad, I'm telling you.
I know.
And I'm just like, I was saying to you the other day, like, I just need to practice more. And I just need to find the time to practice. But I'm motivated to practice now. I'm like, I just need to get road books and just do road book after road book after road book and try and figure out how not to get lost.
Yeah. I haven't got the golden answer for you, but you'll work it out.
I think it's just...
Slow down. Slow is fast.
Well, yeah, slow is fast. And I think the other thing too is my biggest problem is don't second guess yourself and don't follow anyone. Don't follow anyone.
Yeah. Never stop navigating it. At Dakar, that was like anywhere from 15th through to 25th on average is where I was sort of running on road. The first time I've had sort of that many tracks in front, but in a lot of ways it did not help. More tracks made it worse.
Because people are getting lost.
My best days were when I was sort of, more closer to that top 10 and you knew the tracks that were in front were spot on. And if they did go wrong, you knew that there was a couple that were perfect and only one that was generally not right. But by the time you've got 20 bikes go through, there's 4 or 5 options, but generally there was only 1 or 2 when there's only, 10 bikes in front of you. But definitely the speed at which they navigate and how complicated the navigation was. It was definitely through all my international events with Morocco and then Argentina, but then Dakar essentially was turned up even more so again. Yeah. But how challenging the navigation was, but then how those top guys do not hesitate with the call or how committed they are with both their riding and their navigation is next level.
And it seems to always work out from just about.
Well, it doesn't. That's the thing. There's a reason why there was 20-ish Rally GP entries this year and 9 finished.
Whoa.
That wasn't mechanical either.
Crashes.
That's all crashes.
Wow.
Or majority.
There was a lot of crashes this year, and that's one of the things because I was watching every day. I'm watching you and Andrew like race, and I'm like, and Andrew, fuck man, he had a hard time. Like he just had a hard time, right? And he's just battling through. And it's like eventually he's just going to pull out, right? Because it's just compounding on top. Injuries just compounding on injuries on top of crashes, on top of all that shit. It's like, oh, dude, like you're struggling. And it's like, maybe if he just backs off and just finishes, it'll be all good. But then just dumb things happen, like you flick over the handlebars on a soft dune or whatever, because you are backing off too much. Yeah, you're not on the gas. And so it's one of those things. Poor bastard, like he's just
far out. His injury is just on that one crash. Did he end up? He broke ribs. I don't know if he punctured a lung or he done.
I know he broke ribs, and I think in the end he ended up breaking a collarbone as well. And
tore the bicep off.
Tore his bicep off, fractured his eye socket, I think, from hitting the nav tower.
Just one of those injuries would hurt.
Yeah, and he was still riding after tearing his bicep off his arm, and then I think he still was riding when he broke his ribs, and then he fractured his eye socket or whatever, hitting the handlebars, and then he's like.
Well, the only reason he didn't continue when he was out there, because the medics come and caught up with him when he was in the stage. And he told me the next morning, he's like, they took my helmet away. Because they're like, you are not riding. He's like, no, I'm going to continue. And they took his helmet away. So he couldn't. That sucks. Probably wasn't fully with it. But at the same time, he's like, I'm glad they did because, God, I'm sore today. But he's they took my helmet off. Otherwise, I would have, tried to keep going again.
He's at, what is it, the Hellas rally? Hellas?
Yeah, right now he is. Yeah,
he's out there now.
I think that's the first rally. Him and Burgess might have did it together, like 21 or 22 or something.
Well, but he's there now.
There now, yeah.
And it's like 4 months ago that he had all these injuries. And he's just back racing again.
Dude.
Motivated, right? Yeah. Like that's good going. Like that's tough.
He's the one that him and Burgess, but definitely Houlihan. At the start of my journey to Dakar, he definitely motivated me, and he's the one that sort of instilled that confidence. You can go over there. This is how you do it. Blah blah blah.
So I was gonna ask you about this. Is how was your pathway to Dakar since we last spoke? Because you did Rally Morocco before last time we spoke, and then you did, is it called the Chevrolet 40? What's it called?
Oh, the Ruta 40.
Ruta 40, yeah.
Yeah, in Argentina.
Yeah. How'd that go?
Yeah, good. I know why you're smiling at me.
I have a cheeky video here.
Go for it.
Grab the video. There's an Instagram story or video there that I've loaded in thing.
Everyone would have seen it by now, sure.
I don't think everyone's seen it. Like, I don't think that many people saw it. I saw it. So I saw it a month after you had been there.
I kept it on the down low a lot. When I was over there, I did. Anyway, when I come back, I'm like, go for it. But I just do not need everyone reaching out to me right now while I'm over here still racing.
Dude, I saw the crash and I was like, that bike looks like Toby. Like, that looks like Toby's bike. Not that one.
That's a helicopter footage.
That is good footage, but there's another one. There's another one that's like that.
Yeah, mostly because I didn't want my partner to see it. I didn't want Jerry to see it. I'm like, God,
dude,
or mum, or anyone.
Dude,
really.
when I saw it, I was like, holy fucking shit! But then you just got back up again, like within 3 seconds, and
took off.
Tried to start the bike and took off in like 6th gear.
Yeah.
Like, bro,
I was obviously with it, wasn't I? It was all a bit of a blur. I remember the transport back. I don't remember that incident too well.
So you hit your head pretty hard, did you?
Yeah, well, landed on the back of my head. It cracked my helmet and whatnot.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
But I don't know whether it was the bike coming on me that did it or me just slapping the ground, but my back's,
is the one. Open
my back's still no good.
Because you broke your back in this, did you?
You need need some volume. Have you got the volume? No, probably not.
I don't think can we put.
You just hear old mate screaming on the, but also the noise of the bike. You just hear it tapped out,
dude,
and then you hear nothing. And you just see me come skating around the corner.
But you were in like top. Was there a note? Was there a note there for that or what?
So you see those roads. That's a lot of what we sort of. No, there wasn't. Not for how tight that was. So the roads was more or not like that for about. I'm going to say 20 k's, but definitely for the last probably 4 or 5 minutes we were tapped. And then this was about 5 k's from the finish. You can see how I'm all puffed up.
Yeah, because the airbag came on.
This was about the finish. So you can see that those hills in the 4 distance there. The finish was before that. Like, we were only right there. That was the most frustrating bit. Is I was literally 4 or 5 k's from the end of a 300 or 400 k stage, and it was tapped. And I'm just thinking, oh well, it must be flat out all the way back. And then this corner's come up. I'm like, oh, that looks like it's tight. Shut off on the anchors. I'm like, whoa, that's coming in really tight.
Yeah.
And especially at that rally, because a lot of time along gravel roads like that, every 10 k's you'd see someone would have had an overshoot, and everyone panned out fine. But luckily on my overshoot corner that I chose to overshoot, there was a bloody Supercross triple on the outside.
I was going to say.
There was no exit plan. Like, I come into it and I knew I wasn't going to I knew I was going to hit the apex, but I wasn't going to come around. And as the corner opened up and I could see what was on the outside of the corner, I'm like, there's no way out here. So it was just lean back and hold on, and I just hit that. It doesn't really show how vertical that was, but it was like, it would have been the high as a ceiling, 2-3 meters high, and it was essentially just like a pushed up mound of dirt. And just launched over that, and then came slapping down onto my back and bike on me and rolled over. But I kept riding. That was day 3, and there was 2 to go. I'm pretty sure when I did that, I spent too much to be here. I'm not finishing.
Oh, for sure.
Like, this is happening.
Yeah.
And then did it. Came home the pain was bad.
Did you strap yourself up?
Yeah, I did all of that. It was just my lower back was really sore, muscles, and also once I come home with MRIs and stuff, and there's like little. I didn't realise, but on your bottom vertebrae, there's like little tabs that come off, like wings.
I call them wings.
Yeah, fractured down all of those.
Yep.
So essentially, they said you injured that. What's happened now is fine, but if you had to take them with another whack, would have been a different story. But
and so you just took a bit of time to recover from that, then?
Yeah, bulge disc. It's bothering me now a little bit. It starts to flare up again, so I wouldn't mind going in. And the thing with it, old mate that did the scans, he's like, well, because we haven't got a scan of your back prior to this, we have nothing to go off. We can only assuming what we're looking at is the injuries from this. Yeah. But now we've got a baseline, so I'm going to book back in and get a few new scans. It's just sharp pains, sort of in my lower back. So, it's a bit. But anyway, that was not ideal. That was my only big get off in the 3 overseas.
When I saw that, I don't know if I saw it just after you got back or before you got back, but I was like, that looks like Toby's bike. And I'm like, I fucking think that's Toby. And then I think I texted to you. I flicked it to you. And that's how I found it again.
I would have sent an emoji back just with the hands in the head or something, probably. I wouldn't have even replied.
I think that by that stage, like I said, it might have been like a month after.
I gotcha.
And I think you sent back like, that was me. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? You didn't tell me about that. That was a huge accident.
It was, Yeah, pretty fun. Oh, it's funny when you look back on it in the moment. It's just one of those ones that it was scary. Like you come around the corner going, gee, and that like it's a little bit blurry there. But when you that footage off the phone, and I was lined up, I knew someone would have got it because there was people everywhere.
Yeah.
On that corner, but generally through the stage, there was a lot of people just always standing around and watching and whatnot. And then the next morning, I'm taking off, like literally getting ready to line up to take off. And this Argentinian guy comes over and he's like, "Oh, you, like, you're that guy. I'm like, oh no, I reckon I don't know what he's going to do here." And he flashes his phone in front of me and shows me that. I'm like, it's the last thing I want to be watching. Literally hyping myself up to take off here. Like,
right before the stage starts.
Yeah, I'm like, actually, can you send me that real quick? And he flicked it to me. So,
so good.
Yeah, it was funny, but I just got to embrace those sort of things. It's just, I was more worried about that getting around. And worrying
your missus or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's the last thing we need. But it turned out all good, and
it's a bit of one of those things. Like I noticed that and I noticed this more recently than ever because I'm pretty open with accidents and injuries and stuff like that. And I think I don't know whether you should be or not, but I find a lot of racers will keep their injuries a secret almost. Like they won't tell everyone, or they'll get injured and they sort of put it in the back of their mind, and they try not to advertise
comes down to their own, like, and that was very much with my thoughts with that is I just didn't want to be reminded about it all the time. Once something's happened, you just want that in the back of your head. You don't want that in your foremind thinking about it all the time, and you don't want that niggling injury to be, You don't want every time someone comes up to you and asks you about it or points it out, it just amplifies it in a lot of ways inside your own head.
Yeah. I don't get that much. I mean, I've had plenty of crashes and injuries and stuff, but no more than most motorcycle riders. Like bike riders are bike riders. We all get injuries, but I don't seem to like. I can tell stories about crashes like they've already happened. Like it's not going to happen again. Not in the exact same way. Anyway,
there was no hiding that one. I reckon. Buddy, Skylar, Ross Branch come up to the next day. He's like, "How are you feeling?" I'm like, "I've never met you before, but you obviously know me from that." So it was cool.
You got a name for yourself.
Yeah, well, for that, like perfect.
Yeah.
But that was cool. Argentina was good. Like the navigation wasn't super tricky. A lot of it was on tracks like that, like WRC type tracks.
Yeah.
It wasn't across open desert. Had some good stages but really wasn't, that's a lie because of that, but I really wasn't pushing that hard. It was more so just about time on the bike and being with the team again and everything else. But no, it was good. I rode a lot with Nacho.
Nacho Canego.
In Argentina. He'd just jumped on the Hero, so.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. And I was his first rally on that. Yeah, I spent a lot of time riding with him.
Yeah. In the stages, you mean?
Yeah. We'll always
happen to get together, and that's the way it ended up. Yeah. Did you get much time? We were talking about this the other day. Oh, today. Did you get much time riding dunes before you rode? I mean, apart from
no, I didn't, and I wish I did. And that's one thing I'd do more of if I was to go back. But it was just time and money. It was part of my plan to get over there and either to Dubai and do some road book and some dune riding. I definitely, the group of riders I was holding pace with in the open, like on the tracks and through the rocky stuff, I definitely wasn't keeping up with in the dunes. They were that next level up, and it wasn't a lot. It was just a little bit all the time, and that compiles into minutes by the end of it.
For sure.
Looking like, would have it changed my overall position? Probably not. Would have I enjoyed myself more? Yeah, a lot more, because I was getting so frustrated in there.
Yeah.
By the end of it, I was starting to enjoy it and get the flow of it, but a lot of it was just the confidence, and I probably should have also, looking back on it, should have put a little bit more effort into my bike setup, with suspension, stiffen up the suspension a bit, and because it was quite soft and diving into the dunes, especially I was heavier than the other guys as well. So.
Did you were saying that you got factory suspension, like proper factory suspension?
So
I don't know. Is it experimental suspension?
Yeah. So this is how you pull it apart and it just looks like suspension. They pulled it apart on the rest days to service them, and they'd respring them if you wanted to. But essentially what the team called it was factory suspension, but it's just you can't it's not production. You can't buy it off the shelf. It's stuff that only the factory team has.
It's not cone valve. It's not tracks.
No.
It's just you cannot buy it. It's only
it's factory rally suspension. That's all they'd tell you. I was like, well, that doesn't give me much. And then they don't obviously show much. Yeah, like, what's so different about it? Yeah, exactly. And they don't. You can't.
Yeah.
Even the race team can't tear down the shock. It all goes to the KDM truck.
Really?
And not every rider on the team had it. I think there was 8 of us riders. I think 5 of us had the factory suspension in the bike, what they called factory suspension in the bike.
Yeah.
But the bike was good.
But you noticed a difference with the
massively
different.
On that, it's just you know what heavy bikes are like. If you start hitting rough terrain with them, they start to almost wallow or like get wavy. There was none of that. The control in the suspension with that amount of weight, it was like just felt like you were riding an enduro bike. It didn't push through, or it wasn't jumping up or packing up on you in the rear or anything like that. It was just felt like an enduro bike.
You were riding the bike, the new KDM with the new chassis, new frame.
Yeah,
and like. I think you said you liked the new frame better than the old frame, that lattice frame.
Mm-hmm. By the end of the rally, I did. Yeah, at the start, it was different to get used to, but by the end of the rally, I was feeling more comfortable on that than my. Did
it feel more like a 500, like more like a regular bike?
Yeah, that was the easiest way to describe it. Is like riding felt more like riding an EXC. Like it was just more unsettled. It would fishtail in the sand a little bit. It would want to step out a little bit more. You like hit one of those little rocks or something, and the front would want to deviate. But me, because I'm a little bit bigger and stronger too than the other riders as well, and used to, it didn't bother me as much.
Yeah,
for sure, it wasn't as comfortable of a feeling as what the old rally bike is. For the old rally bike, you can't really doesn't handle that well as far as changing direction or stopping. And once you're in a rut, you're in a rut. And
is it heavier? Is the old rally bike heavier by a bit?
Felt heavier. It might be by a few kilos, but it felt heavier than that.
It feels heavier.
Just the way the chassis lengthened and how all the geometry works on it.
There's some sick photos in there of you, like.
Yeah, they do. The photographers are in. They have a group. Like the group has 3 or 4 different photographers that are staged out, and to think you go past once. And they pull out these photos. Like they got one opportunity. It's not like you're doing laps and they get to see you every 5 minutes and change where they're sitting. Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. And you see that like the sand whipping off the back wheel and stuff. It looks sick.
Yeah, you'd see them. They have like the 2 cameras. So they got the one. I don't know. I'm not a photographer, but at all. But you can see one's for long shots. And then as you get closer, they'll flick the other camera up and start taking the short and the closer up ones.
Yeah, right. Actually, that's good.
Yeah, so they're probably, I might be 50 metres away there, but then when I get within 20 metres, they quickly change to the next camera and start flicking through.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, when I was in Kenya recently, I rode the new Cove, and dude, I'm not even joking. It had no fuel in it. Like it had, I don't know how much fuel it had, but I know the fuel light was on the dash. So it must have had, I don't know, 50 k's of the fuel left in it. So it was pretty light, but it felt like I was riding a 500.
Yeah, they do.
And they have a chassis like they
mirrored a KDM, did they not?
I don't know. No. Well, I don't know about that because I know they got like shower replica shocks, which is like a Honda shock, basically. I don't know about as far as frame or tanks concerned or any of that stuff, but I mean, yeah, maybe they did.
A couple of them, like obviously Mason was always up there with it, but they got another French rider. He was, around 14th, 15th, like up the front on a Cove. Like they're a capable bike, and they're only going to get stronger and better as they wean out the issues. But, KDMs are just everywhere over there because they're proven and they're their only production bike. But even the Hondas now, like the Hondas with their that's a 2026. That'll become a production bike.
Yeah, I noticed that. I saw some posts about that the other day.
Yeah, so the rally game's strong, and you got KDM, Honda, Sherco, Hero. You got Cove, but there's also one that's called Hotto, I think.
Yeah, but it's a Cove offshoot.
Yeah,
so it's basically just Cove.
It is essentially a Cove.
Yeah, it's essentially a Cove. So it's another Chinese bike. But you got Hero too.
Yeah, and then you got Fantic, which are on the older Yamaha frames, I think.
Yeah, but they're Italian, are they?
They're Italian
bike.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any.
And they're a production bike too, and they're pretty cheap. The thing about it is that a Cove is going to be a cheap alternative to a KDM.
They haven't got a dealer in I think they've got an importer yet.
2026 they're going to have
coming in here.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
but they already are a cheaper alternative. You see it in the States and stuff. You see them. everywhere.
I can't believe how good it handled, man. I'm not even joking. It felt like I was riding from. I had a slippery, like it didn't have a Michelin desert on it, but it had a equivalent Michelin desert. I think it was a Midas desert tire, and they're always pretty slippery. But otherwise, it felt good. Like the Midas felt good, the tire felt good. It was slippery, but it was slippery, predictably slippery. What I would say is like that. But just handled good. But I mean, allegedly 52 horsepower. But a lot of top end power, not much down low. I was like, feels a bit doughy, but but it revved. Like it wanted to rev. It wanted to rev. Like it just wanted to sing. And I was like, this is pretty good. It's not bad.
Well, the older KDM motor, so the 2023 and prior, they were 52 or 53 standard off the floor, which feels like it isn't much when you got that amount of weight behind it. But then they tune them and they'll get them to 60, and then the factory's up around the 70.
Yeah, right.
And then, but the newer bike is closer to 60. It's like 58 or 59 horsepower off the floor.
Awesome.
But you feel it all down low. There's like when I say like everything from 0 to 140 is easy, and then trying to push over 140, you got near need perfect conditions.
Yeah, I was going to say there was a video when you came in or whatever, and you were talking about how good the bike feels down low. It must have been day 1 or 2, and you were talking about how good the bike feels down low, but you're like, I can't get it over 140. Like
it's no top end.
Never mind 160 max speed. Like it has to be hard packed ground to even get that speed.
Yeah. So there was several, and everyone on the team was saying the same thing, because essentially you got Brad's an exception because he was on essentially a factory bike, Brad Cox, but then you got Michael Doherty, Tobias Ebster, Mashu, and myself. When we're out there against the factory bikes, we don't stand a chance when it comes to a long straight.
No, because...
Right? And they'll pull minutes on you or watch them right away from you.
Yeah. They're
sitting on 160 near on everywhere, and we're pushing to get 140, and then it does get there, but it just takes time.
Yeah.
But, like those few stages where a couple of the Hondas were behind me, I think Ricky and Skylar and Ross on the Hero, they'd blow by you on a straight. And
like you stand still.
There's nothing more I can do.
Yeah. I've got it wedged.
Yeah, so that part, and a lot of the time you are flat out across wide open track, so it does add up to be a fair bit. But I don't think they'd even tried to tune those motors or anything yet, because they were brand new. They didn't really want to be testing them at Dakar.
At a race.
They just had a standard tune in them, I'm pretty sure.
And that's the difference between Rally 2 and Rally GP is like you go, well, it's not the same. It's not the same bike, is it? I mean, obviously those guys are, exceptionally good riders, but if all things were equal, it might be a bit different. Yeah,
I don't think the gap's as big as it shows on paper. That's all I'm saying. Like, of course they're good riders, and they take risks that us average, we're not willing to take, because that was the other thing when they but like people have asked, what's your biggest highlight or what's something you remember the most? And for me, it was those days where I finished a little bit further up the field, and I think it was 12th one day and 13th another day, and those guys started because they got lost or whatever happened the day before. The lead pack lost time, and then they'd start behind you the next day, and having them come past you and navigating with them and seeing where they make their time and how they navigate and what that was like. I remember at the start line, I turn around and I feel like I think one of the Benavides brothers was right behind me, and then it was I think Ricky, Skylar and Ross. And I just turn around and I'm like, I'm just a landscaper from Mildura. Like, what am I doing here? Like, this is going on. Yeah, it was wild. And it was, I think, one of the marathon stages that happened. So all the top guys are all still in the race, essentially. To be amongst that, obviously they blow past you, and I didn't really take that as anything because I was expecting it. But it would take, I think over the whole day, 3 of them got me. So there's 6 minutes, 2 minutes.
That's not bad, though.
And then when they come past, it's not like they ride off into the distance. It's you sort of sit with them for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because once you're within sort of 30 seconds of a rider, you can close up really quick because you don't have to navigate. But once you've got that 30-second gap, you sort of have to start navigating again. So that's what would happen. They'd catch me a little bit like to that point, and then all of a sudden they'd close in because they'd come straight to me essentially. And then once they got past me, they'd have to start navigating again. Take them that little bit to gain their composure.
It really is. It really is harder to lead. Like once, even if you're a few, 5th spot or 6th spot back, you got some tracks to follow. It's still hard to lead as soon as you get in front of another bike.
I did it a lot of times There's a few in that photo, actually. 34 and 39 are right alongside me. This was the
mass start.
The mass start on the last stage. And I love this photo, and there's a video of it as well for a couple reasons. And Dad was getting stuck into me about my starts because he was always made it to the start line, right?
I was watching you at the starts, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? Because you were like getting real squirrely off the start line.
One of them was I got really squirrely, and it jumped across the track, and he's getting stuck in me. And then the mass start, I'm like, all right, I'm going to give this everything I've got here. And then sure enough, they tell me I got the right line because I was on like the existing track and the rest was just across like the plateau.
Rough shit.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter, right? That's the other side. And then I got the whole shot and took off, and then I show him that because he wasn't at that start line, and I show him that when we get back. I see that photo, and it makes me giggle. I love that.
But the only good thing about a rally start is the start doesn't really matter that much.
That's it. That's a mass start. Yeah. So that's like what they call a plateau or a shot, that clay bed that we're starting on. Yeah. And you'll see the dunes sort of, that's the dune there. You can focus the dunes a bit further on, but they sort of blow up into sort of.
Fuck, did those two riders go around two spectators then?
Probably, yeah.
Fuck me dead.
They're going around another one here now.
They're going to die.
Goes around to that guy standing in the middle.
Yeah, he's standing right in the middle.
Yeah.
That's photographer.
Mate, that's nothing. We'd ride through the dunes and they'd be coming the other way towards us. So like, oh, that's where the race is going. Let's try follow the racetrack. They've got no idea. It was some of the stages, depending where they were, if we were close to a town, well, that whole town was out there. And
yeah.
They're in these little bloody two-wheel drive, whatever. They've obviously got tracks to get in there. Like, what are you doing out here? Like, I struggled to get here on the bike, and you're out here in that thing. Like,
and they're in a two-wheel drive.
Not even that. They're like little front-wheel drive things. Yeah, like little Hyundais or whatever. But, some of the stuff's pretty wild that you see when you ride through there. Things that we're just not exposed to over here, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. When you go overseas, you see how other people live, and you're like, oh, okay, this is different.
I don't know what we're talking about then, but we ended up there.
No, so we're talking about the starts.
That's right.
And doing starts. And I noticed you were a bit squirrely off the starts and a few times. But it doesn't matter because it's a rally, right? You've got if you have a problem at the start, you've got 400 Ks to fucking fix the problem. You lost 3 seconds on the start. Oh, well, too bad. Like, what does it matter?
You take it off in second gear every time. That probably doesn't help either. But you're just getting off the start's essentially just getting the bike moving. You're not
that's right.
Clutching and taking off. A couple of them when we started alongside the cars were a little bit hairy. The first time we did, because it was nearly every second day, the cars and the bikes had a separate
which I think's not a bad way to do it too.
Several reasons why it's better, because you can put you can make it more challenging for everyone, because now the bikes can go down tracks the cars can't get down, so it's harder for us. And a lot of days they did that. We went up rocky passes and things that you'd see on a hard enduro track, they're making us go up.
Yeah.
And where the cars and trucks wouldn't get to.
Yeah.
Same in the dunes as well. But also for the cars, they're not passing bikes.
Yes. And causing dust and running bikes over.
Yeah, but they have to navigate though.
Yeah.
So this was one of the final days, like day 12.
This was the day when are they going to call this day off? So
we're just about. We're sitting there, waiting for the fog to lift. We sat there for hours, it felt like, and they ended up cutting the stage in half.
Oh, they did they?
Yeah.
Because wasn't that Chucky was saying he didn't want to run the stage and everyone else did want to run the stage?
There was only one person that wanted to run that stage, Adrian Van Beveren.
Because he was in second, was he? Or
he's really quick in the dunes. But for him to be, he's extremely quick in the dunes, but he might only make 5 minutes in there.
Yes.
Which is considered a lot in the dunes.
For sure.
But that's what I was saying right at the start with the dunes and the other terrain. Like there's not much. It's almost like when you watch a supercross race and it's just a train track. They're all running the one line. That's what we're going through the dunes is like. Everyone's just doing the same thing over and over again, and you're just doing it because you have to get through it.
Yeah.
Where with the other stuff, you can kind of, there's more room to move, and with the navigation and everything, it's sort of,
It's navigation. The navigation doesn't seem to be hard in the dunes, whereas I would have thought it would have been harder in the dunes because there's no roads.
It's really hard when you're leading out because you're setting the track, but then everything after that's easy.
Yeah, right.
But it's not harder, you're just slower when you lead out in the dunes. I've never heard of someone getting lost in the dunes. More often than not, you've got the arrow up for the waypoint.
Yeah, right.
Because they're safety or neutralization waypoints, which open up a lot further out with the arrow. But the penalty for missing them is like an hour.
Yeah, so you can't miss one. You got to make sure it beeps or whatever.
You got to get it as you do with all of them, but they're easier to get.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the dunes would be harder, but I think it's probably harder. Like in South Africa, for example, I was watching a South African rally the other day, and a lot of people getting lost.
Well, when you've got several roads that all look like they should be the one, that's when it gets hard.
Yeah.
All the roads disappear and they're overgrown with grass, which happened a lot over there.
Well, happens here too.
With the rocks in Saudi, that's when it gets hard.
Yeah.
Over here we've got a lot more reference points. Like generally we've got dams, fences, windmills, trees.
Sure.
So that side of it makes it a bit easier. But a lot of the time over there you could be heading on the wrong track without even realising it for a long time. It happens really easy. And just your cap heading means everything. Quite often the tulip could be written to where it looks like a 20-degree bend, but really it's like a 40 or a 50-degree turn. But what matters is you should have read your cap heading, because that tells you how far you're turning.
And so you always have your cap heading on your bike as well. Yeah. And you reference your location so you're not getting lost.
Because they give you so much information, the information they give you isn't as accurate, I guess, in a way, because you've got it all there. It all makes a picture, where here you've only got the tulip, really.
That's right. Yeah.
Where there they give you the kilometres, obviously, and then you've got your tulip, and then your abbreviation quite often is a lot more detailed, and you've got the cap heading.
And does that make you slow down a bit more, do you reckon?
You have to pay more attention.
Which means you got to slow down more.
No, you don't. You can't. You can't.
I can't pay attention to the road book and ride at speed at the same time.
The road.
I mean, you can, but you're taking risk.
Yeah, you are. But it's you've just got to be ahead of yourself a lot more. Here, you can make your mind up generally when you get there.
Yeah, for sure.
But with this stuff, you just got to be a lot more. You got to always try to look a couple tulips ahead, and they would have them 100 metres apart, 4 after 1, 2, 3, 4. So within 400 metres, you're going through 4 tulips at race pace. Yeah. But you read that coming up to it.
Oh, for sure.
And it paints one picture.
Yeah,
so you got to be onto it in that way a little bit more. That's what.
But it's not easier to ride out there. Like, it seems like it's almost harder because of the terrain.
It is, but then, like I said, you go across open desert. It's not real precise either, and I suppose that's probably better as far with the navigation. Like, it's not as precise with the information they give you, but that can also make. In some ways, that's better. In some ways, that's worse, because you can be 100 meters out, or it's. When you're in the open desert, you could be 100 meters out going across a paddock. That sort of doesn't matter. But then when you got to find the road at the end of that paddock, that matters.
Yeah, exactly right.
You just got to, and when you're following I think I might have said it last time, when you're following the cap headings and stuff and how they do it, like they'll stick to one side, like if it's 180.
Yeah, I think you were saying you do like 5 degrees to one side, and
try keep it to one side of them.
Yeah. And then you're on that side, and you just go that way.
Yeah.
When you get to it.
Yeah, if you get there and it doesn't pop up, you know that it's on your left, or theoretically it should be.
Yeah. And even like I watch them where they go over dunes, like they might go 50 meters the wrong direction over the crest of a dune, like over a ridge, and then turn back to the right to go, down across another ridge. Yeah. I don't know how the fuck you end up getting to where you're going to, really. Except for following whoever the leader is. Like, because you can see where his tracks went, so that's fine. But
you're just following your compass heading the whole time, up and down, and then you're looking ahead and you're going, well, quite often too in the dunes, there'll be separate tracks.
Yes, that's
going either way.
That's a sick photo there. And you can see it looks like you come off the dune behind, but there's someone behind you going down the dune.
Yeah, that's far more terrifying than what it looks.
I fucking bet it is. Don't worry about that.
To carry momentum, and that's what they do. Like, to carry momentum over them to the point where you're jumping them or you're getting airborne like that. It just takes some balls. That's all. I don't know if I'm dropping 5 meters, 10 meters. You're just trying to read it the best you can. But then to carry that momentum in the sand, to be able to do that as well, is quite a bit of speed. But that's the speed they're at to keep the flow and the rhythm. And
unless you have like a 10-meter drop, like it happens sometimes. Like I think it happened to like at the end of one of the rallies where Toby won. And that's right. And he he's like sailed off the end and broke his feet or something like that, or broke his heels or something like that, and then Did he get up right to the end? I can't remember.
Was that in South America or they just got to Abu Dhabi? So, sorry, they just got to Saudi.
I can't remember. It was something like that though. But yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was
it
bad,
happened. I didn't hear too much of it. These dunes, you sort of can't. Whilst I'm saying you need to get your ground speed up, but it's only because they are quite tight. They're not open. You can't really get to 100k an hour, for example. You can't get to ridiculous speeds.
Yeah.
All I'm talking is I might be going through there at 60k where they're riding through at 70 or 80.
Yeah.
It's just that little bit carrying the front wheel over, reading them a little bit better. But the thing is, you'll do that for 10Ks and one will catch you out and you're back to zero again. You're like, your confidence is gone. The airbag's gone off because you're so rigid on the bike.
And you've hit the thing.
Yeah, and that's what like my airbags were going off a lot, but
even on the like without crashing.
Yeah, and then it was happening. And they're like, well, when it happens next, I pay attention to what you like in what situation, how it happens, and sure enough, it happened when I come off a dune and I've got my arms locked out, and essentially I don't soak my body weight up with my arms. I'm pushing straight through the handlebars, and that shock was enough to set it off. So that's what I was doing different to.
Isn't that funny? Because I don't have a Tech Air off road yet. Because they're big and heavy and they're a bit bulky, and I find them to be.
They're essentially the same as what we wear. Those
they are, for sure. And a lot of the boys that like Corey and John and that, they're complaining that they're a bit heavy and they're a bit bulky, but the other thing they complain about is they go off really easy.
Yeah,
but I've got a Tech Air 5, and I mean I have set it off accidentally, but when I say accidentally, like I was telling you about that crash I had at Condo this year. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a crash. A bit of wire got caught in my back wheel, pulled me up. And when I pulled up a bit hard, I stopped the bike. I hit the nav tower with my chest. That didn't go off then. Yeah. And then I fell backwards onto the ground and hit the ground. It goes, and I was like sitting still, like I wasn't even moving. And I was like, okay, it went off, whatever. It was still a crash. Got up, went going. But it didn't even go off when I laid the bike down because the engine stalled. And it didn't go off then. Yeah. And I just got up and kept riding. Yeah. And
I was the only one having when I say dramas, it wasn't that often, but yeah, of it going off. But
it might be the style of rider. Too.
Yeah, a little bit. And the weight too. Like you said, like because I'm so rigid through the bars. Coming off, and it happens coming off the dunes on a G out or something. And obviously I just wasn't soaking my body weight up with my arms or knees, and that rigid being stiff on the bike, it was enough to send the G's through the whatever sensors and it pops off. But
they are the best things in the world.
I won't ride without it now. I wish I could cut my sleeves off, but I wouldn't get through tech inspection without sleeves. But that
needs zippers on them.
Yeah, that's what I reckon.
Have them for certain races and then don't have them.
So the rally ones that we use have sensors in the elbows.
Yeah, it's like a plug.
Yeah, so you can't take them off.
Yeah, I pulled mine apart the other day because you can wash the Tech Air off road. You can't
with these.
Technically, you can't wash the Tech Air 5.
Yeah,
but I just pulled it all apart. Every connector, and then pulled it out of the sleeves and everything. Like pulled it all apart, put it through the washing machine, and because I haven't washed it for like a year and a half, it stinks like someone died.
I wipe mine down. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say do not wash, but they're cool. Like the Alpine Star guy comes around, and if you've had a get off or whatever, they can plug into it and tell you all your G's and.
Oh, really?
And what you're doing.
Yeah, right. Because I got the guy, and I shouldn't tell anyone this, but anyway, I got the guy from Monza.
We're here now.
I got the guy from Monza to come in and show me how to pull it all apart and do the things. And then he's like, I'll just tell you the canisters now, and you don't need to do anything about it. Because on the Tech Air 5, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah. On the Tech Air off-road, you can change them.
Oh. You're not meant to change them on yours?
No. But I just said to him, I said, I'm not.
Is that because you're not allowed to have them in your possession?
No.
Or it's just the way you've got to do it.
It's just Alpine Stars.
Yeah. An Australian thing or a world thing, probably.
Well, I think it's worldwide, but the Tech Air off road you can, but not the Tech Air 5, which is like a road jacket, and you're supposed to take it into the shop every time you crash. But when you ride dirt bikes, and I got it before the Tech Air 5, Tech Air 7 was, or Tech Air 7 is what they called. Yeah. Tech Air off road was even out because I was like, airbags are the greatest thing in the world. This is going to save everyone's life.
They're unreal.
They should be mandatory.
So the only part of my back that hurts from Argentina is that real lower back that wasn't covered by my air back and spinal protection.
Perfect. How can you go wrong, really?
And neck braces, you look at them like what everyone was wearing them from, 2010 to 2015 or whatever, and you look at, you go, well, all you're doing is pushing the problem further down your back or to your shoulders. Like it didn't fix anything, did it? No. But with these, it's as safe as you could really make it.
Yeah, for sure.
Protection, or as much.
Yeah, like I cartwheeled once somewhere, Condo 750, 3 years ago, with my airbag jacket on.
Have you actually counted the amount of crashes you've had on a bike, or you don't want to add it up? You're telling me before you're not ashamed about it. So now I really need to start adding it up.
Crashes would be a lot, but I can tell you broken bones.
How many condos have you ridden? Because you've just listed 3 that you've had fall-offs, or 2.
I've done 4 condos, except for if you count the one that we got rained off.
That doesn't count, does it? Or does
I don't think it counts.
That doesn't count.
So I've done 3 condos. The first condo I did on event. So the first condo I did, I was like, fuck yeah, let's go Dakar. This has been the best ever. So I went there with like 30 litres of fuel, like 30.
2 days at condo, and you're like, let's send it.
Yeah, like 690, 30 litres of fuel, full adventure bike, like full adventure bike spec, everything. Like, and I got there and I was like, oh, the biggest stage is like 89 Ks. Like, that's not very long. Like, what am I doing here with so much fuel? So it was a real eye-opener for what rally is about in Australia.
Yeah.
Compared to
we're just limited with land and what we can do and red tape.
I think so. I think it's red tape more than anything. I don't think it's land's the problem. I think red tape's the problem.
Yeah, and the style of event that condo is, and how it's run with the just volunteers and everything else. They keep it simple and sort of, yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's good.
It is good. When you go back to what it was brought in for and what it was like alongside the Australian Safari to give people a taste of rally racing and to see if they really want to do it.
Yeah.
It's a perfect event for that.
Yeah, for sure. But just the stages aren't as long. And even at Safari, like at Sunraysia, it's we usually have one big stage, which is like, 230 kilometres.
Yeah.
But I'd really like to see a 350, 400 kilometre stage. That'd be sick.
I think so. And send us, I reckon,
send us off piste.
Oh, yeah, to get us through some rugged terrain. Because a lot of the time, your bum doesn't have to leave the seat if you don't want to.
That's right. Yeah.
Although you spend more time standing up, but if you really wanted to, you could just cruise. And yeah,
I think we could really do that out at Broken Hill or Silverton.
Absolutely.
I think that's the way to go, that way.
You don't want to be able to hold your bike flat out all the time and just you want to make it so you have to go slow and be technical and think your way through things. Yes. It shouldn't just be how fast can we go. It should be and the navigation's only going to be so tricky in Sunraysia because of the terrain. You can't make it any more complicated than what it already is because you limit your terrain is what makes navigation tricky.
100%. And the other thing that concerns me, and even when I'm whipping full pace down a fence line, is like, and this happened to, what's his name this year?
Brad Greenfield.
Yeah, Bradley.
That video of 4 roos or whatever.
Dude, and this happened, and I didn't have my
I got PTSD. I could only watch that video once. I'm like, I hope that never comes up on my newsfeed again because I do not want to see that again.
But that's what it is, right?
It's so scary.
Like last year, I ran over a kangaroo and I was probably doing 130 by the time I hit it. And I didn't come off the bike. And I don't know how, but I didn't come off the bike. The year before, I hit a kangaroo and killed it.
Yeah.
Down one of the fence lines at Safari. Not at Condo, but at Safari. And it comes through and its head wrapped around the thing and it died. And I'm like, and I didn't realize it died at the time, but it smashed all the side of my nav tower, all the fairing. And I kept going and they're like, oh, there's a dead kangaroo on this section of the track. I'm like, oh, yeah, that was the kangaroo I hit. You know, and like it scratched all the tank and plastics and damaged the plastics. But and it just like must have broke its neck or something. And you're like, how did I not die when that happened? Like,
that is one good thing about the overseas rallies is here all you're worried about is wildlife. Your main risk is wildlife.
Yeah.
Where over there's not much of it. You're just worried about the terrain.
And especially once you're going out early in the morning. Like, my biggest fear is like on the transport on the road at 4 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, whatever it is. You're at 5. You're riding down the road in the dark, and you got tinted lenses on you, like these little fucking beams on you. Like I can't see shit. Like I'm gonna die. It's scary, man. Like
it truly is.
I'm gonna hit a kangaroo or an emu before I even get to the stage. You know.
Yeah. It happened one year. Someone hit one on the way to the first competitive on a motorbike.
And gone.
Yep.
That sucks.
It does suck. No, roos, they freak me out because you're just so unpredictable.
Yeah.
Even emus, more often than not, they run one way and they get out, or a goat runs one way, or sheep. Yeah. But kangaroos are just like little pogo sticks.
So Corey reckons he ran over a goat this year at Safari. Not last year at Safari. And he reckons when he hit it with the back, because he dodged it and it went under the back wheel and it went, bah, under the back wheel.
That's his motor.
He reckons he heard it. I had to laugh. I was like, surely not. But yeah, I mean, Yeah, that's one of the things. The transports this year at Dakar seemed quite short compared to some of the transports normally. But you look like you were fucking freezing sometimes. Like
the mornings were cold.
You were pulling like 2 jackets off under your rally jacket.
Yeah.
You know,
it was cold, and the mornings were like frosty desert mornings here.
there should be a few pictures. I know there's a video I think of Toby getting off the bike. Like,
Is there? Like a Michelin man.
And you're like huge, and then you pulled your your outside jacket off, and then you pulled like a puffer jacket off, and then another puffer jacket off. And I was like, holy fuck!
Yeah, it was cold.
Freezing.
It was just like like being in Alice or somewhere in winter when you get those frosty, cold mornings, but then the days warm up. Some sort of
but you've got to do 150 k's before the stage.
Well, I think we went through everything from when we were down south. It was warmer, and then the further we got up, it got colder, and then we got rain, and then we got fog.
The fog looked like painful. Like I think I'm not sure who was talking to you, but like they were like, Did you nearly die on that transport? And you were like, fine, the fog's pretty thick, eh? Like
that was pretty bad. That was Dad, I think, maybe on the video.
Yeah. What was it like? It must have been good having your dad there, and who else was there with
Unreal. So Dad was there the whole time. Lucky enough that we had a little camper van. Yeah. So we had that, and me and Dad were in that the whole time, which was unreal, and made it just because obviously there's just as many just many negative thoughts go through your mind as positive. So like to have someone there to debrief every day and whatnot. So Dad was there the whole time. One of our really good family friends, Mick Parry, was there for the first week, and then my best mate was there for the second week. They did a swap over on rest day.
Yeah, I think this is the one that everyone's wearing jackets. Like, it's freezing cold.
It's shocky.
And I see you get bags too to put your stuff in.
I don't know if I might probably have it with me. You do. Hessian bag.
Look at you. You're like, you're fully covered up.
Yeah, so that's like, that's a rain jacket. So that just stops basically wind or any rain, like a wind, whatever we want to call it,
like a wind cheater.
But it's not like just like a air brake jacket. That's what I'm trying to say. And you got pants that are the same, but then I had Dad's vest on, and then a jacket over that, and then my rally gear.
Yeah.
Under all that, and then we have the not heated hand grips. That would have been nice, but just the hand protectors, the hand.
Actually, I was going to ask you about that, like the hand shields. It'd be cool if they could plug into a USB or something like that. Like you plug them into USB.
I think the factory guys do.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Because I don't like running the big gloves. I know I've seen Jake Smith and that run the big gloves, and then he puts them in his backpack. And
that's what I do.
It's hard to do that. You know what I mean?
Not really. You stop at the start of the stage.
No, but what I mean is hard to do that. As in, it's like you got to have it on you. You got to carry extra shit then.
Yeah.
Whereas like with the wind cheaters, I ran wind cheaters now. I run wind cheaters now, and they're warm enough, but you don't have to take them off for the whole stage if you don't want to. Which I did that.
Gloves?
No, the wraparound wind cheaters. Like they're like a wind cheater around bars.
I couldn't do that.
No, they're not. But I don't have run the long ones that go up your sleeves.
Yeah.
I just run ones that go a bit tight. They're just like tiny ones.
Yeah.
And then you run them for the first stage, and the next as soon as you stop at fuel stop, you just take them off. Chop them off.
That sounds like more work than gloves. Just quietly.
Yeah, but you got to carry. You got to carry them though. You got to carry your gloves. You know what I mean? Or your big jacket or whatever. That'd be good. So that's the good thing about the bag.
Yeah.
Is you can have a bag, put it all in there. Happy days.
What do we have? Like 2 or 3 jackets that you'd take off. Then you'd have your air brake pants you'd take off.
Yeah.
Then you'd swap because you have warm gloves on. So you take your warm gloves off.
Yeah.
I like having the surgical gloves underneath. I still think they work really well.
Yeah, you don't sweat?
Yeah, I do, but I'm warm. But you take them off at the start of the stage. It doesn't matter.
But it doesn't make you get blisters later because you've got sweat in your hands or anything like that? No, that problem.
You need to pick up a shovel in your day job. You'll be fine.
Not anymore.
No, it's all right. So we have the gloves, and then you take your hand guards off. Then we change goggle lenses as well.
From a clear lens to a
tinted or whatever you want to run that day. And then quite often we'd have balaclavas and things that we don't want to race with, take them off as well.
Yeah.
Keep the one on, but you'd have ample on that you might want to take off.
And then you just put them in the bag and then give your bag away.
Yeah, there's just like a little truck there, like almost like a small fridgy truck.
Yeah,
so it's set up and everyone throws their bags in there, and you get that at the end of the day.
And you get it at the end of the stage?
So the team had already picked them up. By the time we got to the bivouac,
And it's got your number on it, something like that, hey? That's such a good way of doing it. And
got it at home with me. Because
I often wonder about how strict they are with some of the rules. You know,
I'll start the trend at Safari. I'll rock up with the bag and see if it's
give it away to someone at the thing there.
I won't end up with a back. Someone, that's for me now.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I'll keep that.
A couple $1,000 worth of gear. Like, hey, I need that.
Actually, that's one of the things I was expecting to see. I mean, even though we talked earlier in the year, and you said I'm going to take some time off just to chill the fuck out for 5 minutes because it's been so intense up to Dakar and after Dakar. So and I was expecting to see you at Condo, and I was like waiting for you to turn up, and then you didn't come, and I was like, oh, you must be coming. And then I remember the conversation we had. I was like, oh, actually, that's right. Toby said he's not going to race this year. So are you thinking you're not going to race at all this year, or are you going to do a few events?
No, I'll do a few. I've only been, it feels like I haven't been off the bike that much. I've done sort of maybe 3 or 4 rides since I've been back from.
Oh, you have you?
Yeah, just casual rides, not training or anything like that. But I was so, it was a hectic couple of years, put it that way. It was nice to get my weekends back, nice to be a husband and a dad again, and enjoy the little things, and also soak up the achievement and the hard work that went into it. I don't want to just have this pass by. I kind of want it to soak in a little bit because I feel like I put so much into it. But that makes sense.
I mean, that's one of the things. You see, you brought a few things here. Hang on, let's get them.
Yeah.
So we have your. I can hold. Do you know what?
There's a bit of weight in there.
I've actually thought about this a lot. I've thought about this a lot. Right. Is what it's like to have like the Dakar medal or anything like that. Is this your rookie? This is a rookie medal?
No, that's the finisher's medal. That's what it's all about, the one you're holding. Yeah, that's what everyone gets at crosses. Really, end of the day, that's all that matters. You get one of those.
So that's a finisher's medal?
That's a finisher's medal.
And this is Dakar. You're the second rookie.
That's the rookie.
At Dakar.
Yeah.
That's fucking good. Like, if you think about that, you're the second rookie at Dakar. Like, that's a real achievement, you know?
Well, especially when the guy first is right on the factory KTM team.
Oh, really?
That was Edgar. Edgar Canet was number 1.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, is he really a rookie? Factory supported. But
he's never done a Dakar before, is that right?
No, that's all that matters. If you haven't raced Dakar before, you're considered a rookie.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Like,
So now look.
And there's a lot of weight in that.
The whole experience is as a whole, like the whole thing was. Looking back on it, I really couldn't have. That was a perfect outcome for me. If you had told me what would a perfect outcome be, or what do you want, I would have said, how the race panned out would have been it. Had no big mechanicals, no big get-offs. Really didn't get lost. Maybe 1 minute here or 2 minutes there. I think the longest I got lost or lost time might have been 5 minutes getting lost on the stage, or
that's good,
or whatever. So my navigation was probably my strong point and something that I was happiest with. My bike speed was good except for the dunes. I was happy with how I rode everywhere, actually. My bike speed and consistency, I was happy with everywhere, just not in the dunes. I probably lost half an hour across those few days.
Total, yeah.
But at the same time, maybe it would have been 1 overall position.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
And once we got into the dunes too, I was lucky with the position I was in. The guy behind me was half hour behind in the overall, and the guy in front in 18th was half hour ahead. So for me to push up and make that sort of time, you're risking a lot.
For sure.
So for me, it was just about getting to the end.
And it's one of those things, like we were talking about this earlier about Fink and how much time people go out there and train for, and how that's where a lot of your advantages is just knowing the track. And it's like, how much time can you spend training? You know what I mean? And this was going to ask you about your prep up to Dakar must have been so there's so much that it takes out of you for all that prep time and all that work you're putting in, that, like you said, you want to enjoy it. You want to sit back and go like, okay, let me take a break for 5 minutes and let me just soak this up for 5 minutes. You know
I mean? Well, I threw everything at it, and it was not like I didn't really know what I was preparing for. How do you know until you go and do it? Like I can sit here and tell you what it's going to be like, but until you go and do it, you don't know how your body's going to hold up or what's going to happen. So I just threw everything at it. It was getting up every morning at 4:30 and going to the gym every day of the week, and then working all day running the business, and coming home being a dad for a few hours, and jumping on the computer and either doing work admin or something for sponsors or the race, and then trying to pull the funding together. It was just 2 years of I'm surprised I don't have more grey hairs, because it was probably more stress than anything. So, but the lead up, I really don't think I could have done much more with the situation I was in. As far as, like you need to work because you need to fund it, you need to get the sponsors, and then obviously putting in the time with bike time and fitness as well. I really just spent every spare minute or moment I had, and probably more than that, put it in, gave it everything I had. So it was, it was just nice for it all to pan out, and at any point it could have went any which way.
And like, I was surprised. I mean, I was surprised, but Dakar, anything can happen, right? Mm-hmm. And so in a lot of ways, I was surprised that like you just had a dream run. Like really, it was a dream run virtually. I mean, you did tell me today, and I didn't even know until, I don't think you told me in the last phone call we had, but you said you got sick like a few days before the end.
Right near the end. Yeah, it was one day, 10 or 11. They all blur in. I couldn't tell you that, but towards the end.
Like food poisoning or something like that.
Yeah, it was like sort of a 24-hour thing. Once it was out of my system, I was good.
But that makes it hard.
That day, I don't know if anyone, you ride a dirt bike when you just, and you're just squeezing together, trying to hold yourself together. It's not ideal. It's, and then also trying to keep a competitive pace. But that day, the navigation was so tricky. And I, because I was riding, probably not I definitely wasn't at 100%, but even riding at my 70%, I navigated really well, ended up 13th on the day that I felt the worst.
Oh, really?
They got lost. There was carnage everywhere, but I was so oblivious to it. I was just worried about, like, I'm like clenching my cheeks. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, go this way, and then back this way, and then back this way. And then sure enough, got to the end, and they're like, 13th. I'm like, what the?
How'd that happen?
Yeah, so maybe it was a blessing in disguise. But even things like that, just like obviously you create your own, there's no such thing as luck. You create your own luck, and you put yourself in situations. You do create your own luck because you prep and you do things you need to do. And so, and obviously having chosen to go with Bass, like they were the best of the best that you can pay for as well, and committing to that and knowing that it was obviously, sure, more expensive, but the best option.
Are they much more expensive though? Yes? No?
You're spending 130 to race Dakar. You might save 20 grand. You're already spending 110. What's another 20? It sounds
exactly
silly, but you don't want to.
It's not even 20%. It's like 17%.
Yeah, like you're already there. Yeah, but there are more affordable ways than that to do it. But from us here in Australia, there really isn't, because for the European guys, they can ship their own bikes down, and teams will do But for us to get our own bikes over there, that's a big thing for us to do, to ship it, and then you're doing it 3 or 4 months in advance, and the complications with that, it's nearly better just to pay the team to rent their bike. But there is more cost effective ways to do it, but for us here in Australia it is tricky.
But if you like, one of the things is, if you're going to go there and spend, let's say, $110,000 to race Dakar and you don't finish,
you're going to be wishing you spent that other 20.
Yeah, well, exactly right. At least get as much advantage as possible. Like,
no excuses, I guess, is a big,
I mean, you and I had a discussion earlier, and I think for me, I would really like to do Malimoto at some stage. So whether you race 2 Dakars and you do Malimoto at one stage, like when you do the second Dakar, you do Malimoto. Mm-hmm. But I think it seems to me that I've talked to quite a lot of people now about Dakar who have been there. It's all well and good to watch it on TV, but you really don't get an understanding of how fucking complicated it is to do the entry or
logistically. It's
like it looks like a freaking nightmare. Like even sign on and getting all the equipment and all these things. It can take a full day. To do that stuff.
I think for us, we walked through with Bart with a group of 6 or 8 of us, 8 riders. I reckon we were in and out within like 45 minutes.
Whoa.
And we go through scrutineering. Yeah, but because they all know him, he knows the systems, he knows what they want. They go on with that team. You tick all the boxes. Like, it made the experience so, sign-on day was basically a day of, let's say the whole time from leaving the camper van to getting back was an hour to do something.
Wow, that's good.
Like, they give you allotted times, and scrutineering the same. But that's what I mean. Being with those guys, it really, anyone that wants to do it, they were top notch, the best you can get, sort of thing. That was just another something else that made my experience that much better, I guess.
Yeah. And having a good mechanic and
all of that.
The bike's prepped and ready to go. And
they were like. It was factory support, basically.
How did you go? Like, how much money did you spend on spare parts? Because I saw, see if you can get a photo. There's 2 photos of rims there. One of the rims, I don't know how the fuck you dented a rim that bad.
Yeah, so
I don't know how it held together.
I hit a square edge.
Not that one. That's a bad one too.
That's a lot for a front rim.
That is a lot.
Imagine the feel of that through the handlebars.
Oh, I know. But there's a rear one.
What a lot of it was
horrible.
like. We were riding through these what looked like perfectly sandy 4-wheel drive tracks, and we went for half the day through it.
Zoom in on that.
What it
look at that fucking rim.
That was a square edge. I've come into a gutter, and I can't remember the situation coming in.
It didn't try and peg you over the handlebars?
Well, I didn't give it an option. The rim went instead. I reefed so hard off those handlebars and put all my weight through that rear rim.
Dude.
But that's factory suspension and riding a rally bike. If you're on an EXC, that's the end of your life.
100%.
But that's we were tapped essentially. And what did I do? I remember seeing the gutter. I can't remember what the terrain was like coming up to it. I feel like we're in sort of like a canyons, like it was, there was constant washaways.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I've just either misread or I've taken off. Anyway, I've come into a square edge, very hot. And
so there's no caution?
Well, it might have been a single caution.
Yeah.
But actually that's what it was. We were going through these canyons, in between canyons or cliff faces or whatever, and there were several single cautions, and they were all pretty mediocre. And then I was gaining speed through all of them, and then that was one of the final ones that wasn't a single. I've obviously hit it a bit off track, and it was just all I remember is just seeing that square edge and just pulling through the bars and pushing, because the newer rally bike has almost like steg pegs on it.
Oh, I was actually going to ask you about this.
And just leaning back through that and just felt the full shock through the through the rear.
And they have a thread into the tank, do they? Two threads in the tank.
Yeah.
But you can't buy those then.
Well, I haven't tried. I'm sure you probably could.
Because they'd be sick to have the stick on rather than
well, the old
pegs.
rally bike isn't an option.
Yeah, it's only on the newer ones.
It's only on the newer ones. Yeah.
It's only the brand new.
That's the fuel tank. So you really don't want to be, whatever you do in that mould, you want to make sure it's strong and it's not going to
for sure
tear apart. So that's why the older bikes, they just generally stick a bit of like skateboard like grippy tape or something to it. So you can grip the tanks.
Because they look sick with those, like, especially when you're all down the bike like that and you just, you're squeezing as hard as you can, but you've got to reset every now and then. I do anyway. I'm not strong enough to
riding with, like, no different with steg pegs, that you can't get that force through the rear and push through your legs like you can
with steg pegs.
With steggies.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's maybe another reason why I enjoyed that bike so much, because a lot of other guys were taking them off. I'm like, no, leave those things on there.
Yeah,
I'm used to them. Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. You got to get used to steg pegs or those. Well,
you feel a lot more right. Like you feel limited in your movement on the bike with steggies. Like you feel like
but you know from racing Fink or Hatter or whatever, that's the way to go.
But I ride with my chest over the handlebars anyway. So if I'm up in a fully upright position, I'm either chest over the bars or I'm getting my weight back over that rear wheel.
Yeah.
So the steggies is putting the weight on the
that's right.
rear.
So especially if you can get on the balls of your feet a bit more and then push into the back, you're even more pushing that weight into the back wheel.
Yeah.
And then you can dent the rim in like that.
Yeah.
Like that. But
that happened a lot. There was when we were going. Yeah.
Well, so I saw at least 3 or 4 days when you came in. You're like, I own these rims now. Like they're going to cost me a lot of money.
Because we were riding through. I started saying it before, like sandy 4-wheel drive tracks. It was just like riding through the Sunset Desert or Whipperfield where I train down near Rainbow and Iron and that, and it was just sandy tracks. But within those ruts is rocks that come through the dirt.
Yeah.
So here, you're not even thinking that. You're in sand. Like, why is there a rock there? But over there's these hidden rocks in those ruts or in the bottom of the car tracks.
Yeah.
So a couple rims later, I realised don't ride in the bottom of the car tracks. Get up off the ridges a bit or ride the berms and whatnot. But
it's a bit like I was just going to say, it's a bit like Fink, where whatever, and it's not necessarily rock, but it seems to be like clay square edges underneath the sand, and you hit them sometimes. You're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, hidden in the bullduff.
Yeah. And
we rode one day as well, which they said was, this will be a transfer stage. They called it straightforward navigation, wide open. One of the easier days.
No.
That's a load of shit.
They're lying to you.
They basically ran us through a stage that had a lot of tracks they rode on last year. So it was like almost like Fink with the choppiness of the track. Because a full race went through there last year and no one had touched the track and they're racing through it again this year.
Yeah.
And the navigation was actually tricky because it's like they didn't rewrite the road book in some sections.
Right.
And the terrain, the track changes a little bit, given that you've just raced on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was that was a long day. A lot, and much like that, just square edged. You're feeling it through the bars. It was hard work. Like, and in the rocks too. Like, I remember after the getting to rest day, the sorest part of my body was my forearms.
Yeah, right.
Just taking a beating through the handlebars, and everyone was the same. Our hands and forearms was just like holding onto a chicken, like we call them a chicken bar, but like the bar that almost got the sledgehammer, and you're holding the bar that he's whacking. The chicken bar. It's just like holding that, but someone's whacking your handlebars, and you're just holding onto that thing.
Yeah, just because
hours on, and every day, and our forearms and hands were just battered after the first.
You know what?
Week.
Funnily enough about saying that, like I just got back from Africa. As you know, but no one else knows. And the dirt roads in Africa, exactly like I rode a 700 Tenere.
Yeah.
And the front end of the Tenere felt like it was going to fall off half the time. It was like, there's just fucking ghouly rocks. And I got flat tires like nothing else. And same sort of thing. I mean, I wasn't riding hard, but I had a 60-kilo woman on the back.
Yeah.
Plus pannier bags. And so that added to the problem sort of thing. And I started getting sore forearms too, after a while.
Well,
and
lucky we're like obviously running mooses, but each of those rims is a flat tire essentially.
Oh, that's more than a flat tire. Like if you would have had a flat tire 5 hits, hits before that. Like it takes a lot to dent a rim.
That rear rim, I pulled up. I think it might be a video in that. And that's when you're saying when I pull up at the start line, and Dad was there, and he's. Have a look at your rims. Like, what do you mean? And turn around.
Is that one?
Yeah.
So that's at the start line or the finish line?
That's at the finish, sorry.
Oh, the finish. Yeah.
Sorry.
See if you can find a video when Toby's just pulling up at the finish line.
Oh, heck.
Yeah.
I felt
there
that.
is one.
Yeah. And I didn't even realize I'm going down the highway. It's do.
Yeah,
that's how bad it was that out around.
So you didn't notice it when you're in the stage, though?
No, because you're holding the thing flat.
That's not that one. That's when he's getting interviewed by SBS.
It was further along, I think. If it's in there. Did you do, just talking about SBS, did you do some additional interviews with SBS after Dakar? Not for that same coverage, not for the SBS on demand. No. I've done a couple different podcasts and interviews, but not TV time, no.
Yeah, right. So like an SBS podcast is there or something?
Oh, the same guy it's just a personal one that he does. It's not.
Right.
He runs it. He runs it like it's an SBS, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's more like a branch off. But
it's like a sports presentation, is it? Or?
Yeah, no, not even that. It's a personal thing.
Yeah, right.
But he's a sports presenter that runs that looks after Dakar. He does rallies and like anything SBS sports. They cover quite a few different random things like cycling and all of that. He's across all that.
This is one of the things, and this is one of the things that's getting I quite like, and even this year, especially where we've got like a rally GP, like a proper rally GP, we've got proper coverage of each rally on SBS as well.
Yeah.
Like SBS are really getting behind the whole rally movement, I would say. Like, I mean, rally's always been popular, but it's never really gained the
notoriety almost.
It needs for how crazy the racing is and difficult and,
Pricey obviously helped that a lot. But
sure.
Also it's just been, I feel like it's almost a worldwide thing too with how it's progressed. And people say that about Dakar, that it's not like the original. Well, how could it be? They've had to, Dakar, it's still challenging and extremely tough, but it's not like the Africa Eco Race is the, whatever, the original Dakar, the full adventure. But that also it hasn't got the ultimate competition either. It's more about the adventure.
Yes.
Dakar still has essentially the best riders go to Dakar. That's the pinnacle still.
Yeah, I mean, it's an evolution, right?
It is, but and they've had to. They couldn't keep, otherwise it wouldn't be what it is. It wouldn't have this notoriety. It wouldn't be getting the coverage it does. They've had to keep up and move.
Well, it's like you said, the notoriety worldwide, whereas it always had the notoriety in Europe.
Yeah.
Like Europe, who was telling me this? Was it Max or was it Scotty Britnell? Was telling me that Dakar is the most watched sport in Europe apart from the Soccer World Cup or F1 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's like the
Apart from soccer.
It's like the most populous thing that's on TV, right?
Yeah.
Everyone watches it. And so when you look at it from that point of view, you're like, oh, wow, it is really popular, just not in Australia. Yeah. Like just Australia just doesn't get any coverage of it. But and you think why? Like you would think that anyone who's a television station or presenter would be like, oh, the most popular thing in the world. Maybe we should put it on our TV.
There's an opportunity there.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Once Pricey was the first Aussie to win, I think that was a turning point a little bit for him, and it's built from there.
And then the other thing too is like Chucky winning and dominating this year. Was like some sort of record.
Were they doing hour long?
They were for sure longer this year than usual. Usually they do like a 20-minute thing.
Normally they'll just the previous years and all the years I've watched, it was just like the top 3 bikes, cars, whatever, done. But now like they were doing like the top 10 in the Rally 2. I was on there a couple times. That wasn't happening before. That's awesome. Like that's what the sports needs.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think SBS too, like it works so great for them with obviously Chucky winning the bloody thing. I'm just talking in Australia now, so SBS Australia. For Chucky to be winning it, you had myself, who's just sort of more relatable to the average rider. You know what I mean? Chucky's the elite. And then the Andrew, but then you had the guys in the car, in the old cars. The
Nissan Patrol, not a Patrol, Navara.
Yeah. And then obviously Pricey in the... So they had all these different stories almost, and everyone had their own story, and it just worked really well.
Speaking of that, do you know what happened to Sam Sunderland exactly? Because it made no sense to me. They're like, oh, we came over at June and we clashed heads. How? You've got a fucking hand system that straps your helmet to the seat. How did you two clash heads?
What happens is the rally seats they use there, which we don't use here in the off-road, ours are open, but they wrap around the sides of their heads. So he was headbutting his seat. Side to side.
Headbutt his seat.
Yeah.
I thought Toby said that him and Sam clashed heads, and I'm like, how?
Or maybe, but no, they couldn't.
I don't see how they could.
No, I'm pretty sure it was the seats, and they tried different seats and stuff, but I think there was a little bit more to all of that than maybe what was ended.
Elaborate.
No, I know for sure that the car they got, because it was such a late
entry
type thing. Yeah, so they basically got the car that was left over, and then they're not even. Like Pricey, he was struggling with power getting up dunes. He was holding the thing flat out, and it just wasn't performing how.
And they had some electrical problems too.
Electrical issues.
It would start or something.
They got there's videos of them actually trying to push the thing over the start line.
That's
and they were very frustrated.
Yes, they were.
So yeah, the whole obviously, Toby does a good job at putting up a front and being a happy guy. It's not really do you see him unhappy. Don't complain. But I think there was a few complaints about that whole program. But at the same time, it was very organised, very late. So
hard to do any testing or anything like that.
Yeah, that seat time and all the rest of it. And that's the thing. Like, how was Sam going to know that they could have ran the other seats? That's what unless it's a requirement. But I know here we don't run the wraparound seats for that reason.
Yes.
Because your head, you're getting concussed and knocked out.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he was concussed to the point where he was out cold for the end of a stage for about 10 Ks. And Pricey was, and I think that's why Tobe's hated it the most. Like when it's himself, he's like, well, I'm doing it to myself. But when he's driving and Navi's doing that, it's like, well, I'm inflicting this on someone else. So.
Yes, and that's what he said too. He's like, I just don't want to put anyone in any danger or anything like that or hurt anyone.
Yeah, which is a bummer. Like I caught up with him when I did Morocco. He was on the bike, so that's when I sort of met him and got to know him and introduced myself, and we spent a bit of time together there, which was cool because when the race finished in Morocco, I'm pretty sure I told it. I would have. How we left the final stage. We finished the final stage at 2 or 3 in the Arvo, but then presentations was at the same bivouac where we finished at about 6 o'clock at night. So 6 to 11 was like the prezos.
Yeah,
and we had our fun. And then we got on a bus at 11, and then went from 11 till 2 in the morning. We were on the bus, and then from 2 in the morning we go jump on an airplane and sit on an airplane from 2 till 7 in the morning just to get to the international airport so we can all leave the country. That was our way out. And the bus we were on, this was everyone. So it was a Bass World KTM team, the team I was on, the KTM Red Bull, then it was Honda, Hero. They were all on this same bus.
So tell me this story, because last time, do you know what we tell this story? Like, I think last time we talked about other things. We didn't get to this story.
Oh, didn't we?
And we talked about this story after the podcast, right? And I laughed so fucking hard at this story because it was just the funniest thing ever. So tell us the story about the party for starters.
Oh, right. So I can elaborate.
But the mechanics
Yeah.
Your mechanics? Are they your mechanics?
Yeah, the team's mechanics. They're Dutch, mate. So they love a beer.
You want a beer?
I'd love one. That'd be great. Rude not to. So we raced Rally du Maroc. We finished in the dunes. What they call, is it Mazuga or something like that? It's extremely popular. People go over there for riding, driving forward, they do like tours, day tours. So there's actually another rally. It was an all girls rally, like a variety bash type setup. Anyway, that was right near where we were. So we were there and the bivouac was set up, and that was the finish podium as well. And we finished at the back of the dunes and the podium, everything was there. Like I said, all the competitors are coming in from, I think the bikes might have finished closer to lunchtime really. And then the last vehicle might have been near 4 or 5 o'clock in the Arvo, all finished off. And as we're packing up the trucks, there was even the locals, because they all go, they want to flee the border back to Europe.
Yeah.
So you've got all the locals that just, I don't know where they were coming from. It's like they were buried in the sand and they're just coming from everywhere. They're running across this paddock they're all trying to get under the team trucks. They're climbing up into the engine bays, wherever they could fit above axles. Like they would have been sitting down looking at drive shafts, 300 mil away, and they're happy. They're like, that's
fine.
Which it's funny, but at the same time, like, man, if that's how it's sad, if that's how desperate they are to trying to get out of their country. So there was that. We packed up all the team trucks. I mean, meanwhile, we're sitting around drinking beers while this is going on. As soon as the race is finished, it was just, we're just having a few beers and talking as we do. And the team's Dutch, based in the Netherlands. And they,
Did you say some of the mechanics got on the bikes and were riding around the paddock?
The Parc Fermé closed. So the mechanics are like, we'll go get the bikes. So they shoot over and grab the bikes from where they're stored. And as they're driving back across, they're like, the cops are trying to chase these group of about 4 or 5 guys down. Go give them a hand. Like they can't. So the boys have taken off, no helmets, no nothing, in their team polos and that. They've shot across on the rally bikes, and you just see them doing doughies around these guys, like herded them in, and they're just like, you can't make this stuff up. Like there was scenes out of, and they far out. It was just hilarious, and the cops are like cheering them and like thanking them because they've got we laugh about it. But it is a sad situation. But
and so I often wonder this. I did a podcast while I was overseas in Africa, and I was talking to this guy, Juma, and he's a really good dude, But he's traveled all around the world. He's a world-class kayaker, right? Freestyle kayaking. He's done some shows at the Olympics for the next Olympics for when they wanted to have kayaking in the Olympics and stuff like that. Like, really good dude. But he's like, so many people want to flee Uganda. He's Ugandan. So many people want to flee Uganda to go to like America because America's the dream. He goes, but I've been to these countries. It's not that much better, or if anything, it's better in some ways, but it's a lot worse in other ways.
So especially probably how they're going to be treated too.
Yeah, he goes like, why would I want to leave this country? Like, okay, yeah, cool. We don't have the best quality of like. The house isn't built as good quality, but we have like 25, 35 degrees all year round. We're never cold. We don't need to worry about freezing our ass off. We don't need to worry about any of that stuff. We have fruit on the trees all year round. I can go and pick pineapples all year round and never pay for it. It's free. I have fruit trees everywhere. I'll never ever starve.
Yeah, it's just perspective, I guess, isn't it?
And he goes, and I can kayak on the Nile River. Right there, whenever I want.
That was his main thing.
That's his main thing, right? And I'm like, and he goes, but the other thing, also the other thing is, why would I want to compete? He said, why would I want to go to America or to Australia and compete with everyone else when I'm like the motivated person here, and I'm motivated to do something, but I've got no competition.
Yeah.
He goes, there's no competition here. He goes, but there I'm going into a race with high competition. So why would I want to make Uganda better rather than run away?
Yeah.
And it's like that thing, right? Like, why wouldn't you want to make your country better? And I thought about that. I was like, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
It's such a good way of thinking about it, you know?
Yeah.
And so while it is sad, it's also, there's a lot of, I think, outside, not brainwashing, but like, America's the best place to be, or England's the best place to be, or, Canada's the best place to be, whatever it is, whatever Western country it is. Mm-hmm. And so they think, I'm going to get the fuck out of here because that country's going to be way better.
Yeah.
And really, is it? I don't know. Yeah. In some ways, yes. In other ways, not.
Yeah, so there was that whole thing. And, and then the prezzo started. So we go down there and we were Jake Freck, one of my best mate, was there with me for this rally as well. So we're tipping the beers back and pretty like they were flowing, right? I'm really excited. And then they go, the mechanics half cut, and they're like, yeah, because I won the fastest rookie thing. Like, yeah, you get up on the stage. I'm like, they're just taking the piss out of it. It's like, they don't present it, whatever. And like, nah, you get to get up there. And then sure enough, I've got it. I didn't bring it up here with me. I've got it in the ute. I get up on stage and then they hand me this check that says
free ticket to Dakar.
Yeah, that's right. I'm Jesus, this is sick. And I'm up there like with David Costero, like the organizer of Dakar and whatnot. And I'm, like I said, half cut. And I'm just like smiling with me, thumbs up, like this is cool.
Yeah, sick.
And then tipping the beers back. And then the time came to leave, and everyone knew that the buses were leaving, or whatever it was, 11:30 or 12 o'clock. So me and Jake Freck get back with just enough time to make the bus, and we're basically the last ones to get on there. We get on, I'm like, God, these not the other mechanics, like Bart. Meanwhile, we told them we were leaving. They're like, yeah, we're coming. So we got Bart, and I think it was like 4 or 5 mechanics with him. And they're like, gee, they're still not here. Like, man, they would have gone on another bus or something maybe. And then sure enough, they hear the bus door close. And all our bags now are already on the bus. Like, they're packed up before we went to Prezzo's. Like, they're still not here. Now, they'd have to be getting on our bus because, like, their bags are on here. And sure enough, the bus door closed. It just reverses out and just starts to creep up. And it's getting up to speed. And all of a sudden, you can just hear this whacking on the side of the bus. They're just screaming and whatever. They don't even know what they're saying, but just making some sort of noise. Anyway, the bus screams to a halt. And these 5 drunk blokes with Bass KTM World tops come on. And just the smell, like you could just smell the alcohol on them. It was hilarious. Like half the bus thought it was hilarious. The other half were like, get these guys off. So they got on, because Matthias Walkner, he was riding for KTM at that point, Pricey, all those sort of guys thought it was hilarious. But you got the Benavides brothers and that, they're like, oh, this is a bit, we didn't sign up for this.
Dirty about it.
Yeah. And then me and Jake, we're just going to quickly take this top off. Like, we're not with them. And then sure enough, the bus ride went for like 2 or 3 hours, and we got to a checkpoint, and I knew that the boys were struggling. So they're laying down in the aisle because there was no seats left. So they're laying down the aisles. And they just see one of them stand up and like sway his way to the front, and he's just knocking on because the driver had like its own, like, you know, capsule sort of thing. He's knocking on that. Then we get to get him to pull over, and you just hear him hurling out there. No. It was a mess.
That has overdone it then.
Yeah. And then we got to the airport, and they'd sort of sober up. You could just see them. They were half depressed and miserable at that point. They're starting to sober up and going, this wasn't such a good idea.
Get in the plane, have a few more drinks.
Yeah. We got on the plane and sat on the tarmac because it was a chartered flight.
Really?
Yeah, because the airport wasn't a public airport. It was so it was chartered flights, and we had to fly back to the other side of the country to get to, Riyadh or whatever the city is there. I think it's
in Morocco.
Yeah,
I think it is Riyadh.
Yeah, to fly out of. So we sat on the tarmac for like 2 hours. And they wouldn't turn the cabin lights off. It was like sitting in here, and we all just want to doze off. And then even that was brutal. And then we eventually got to the airport, like 7 a.m. after riding it all day, all night, transporting, and then getting to. Like, you could have organised that a little bit better, maybe.
Yeah. And did you have the same mechanics at Dakar? Same group of guys?
Yeah, same group of guys. There might have been 2 or 3 changes, and more at Dakar, obviously. With every bike has its own mechanic, and then the masseuse and whatnot. So. But yeah, no.
The masseuse would have helped, surely.
Unreal. He was the best physio I've ever had.
Really?
And he did a really good job of treating your issues, but he's like, well, we can't go too hard because technically you need a day to recover from my treatment.
Yeah.
And you haven't got that. So we're just going to manipulate and try assist your body in recovery, and I guess not go too hard and do all sorts of too much pressure point and things, but he just sort of relieved the muscles in a way, and far out, like the relief I got, like my arms being tight as they were, my forearms. I'd had to come off in the dunes at one point, and the handlebar went in my leg and sort of gave me a big corky. I'm like, that's going to, he worked on it that night. The next day it was as if it didn't happen. Like he just seemed to relieve the tension and the whatever was going on. It was unreal. Really good.
Yeah, right.
Really good.
And if you're racing like Mallee Motor or something, do you get like, is there a
I don't think you're allowed to.
bivouac masseuse? Nothing.
No. So they get a tent and a red toolbox, and that's about it. And their gear bag.
Yeah, right. Nothing else. No other assistance. No nothing.
No, they have to set up their own tent and tear it down. So the nights where we didn't change bivouac, they were stoked because everything was already set up. It's brutal what they do.
It is.
And the two guys that finished behind me in the overall were first and second in the Mallee Moto class.
Really?
Yep.
That's fast to be running that quick. And getting no sleep.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure they're limited on what tyres they can use as well.
Yeah, apparently the only
those two guys in their pastime were quite...
6 sets of tyres, I think it is.
So you got every second day. But in
4
saying
years
that, they don't want to change tyres every day anyway.
Of course not.
So it's better for them to be like, well, make it so we don't have to. That way it's even and everyone just does it every second day.
Yeah.
But I think, now I say that, they might drop their tyres off to a truck.
They do. Michelin truck,
changed,
like the Michelin truck.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
I think they do.
And even to the point where if they have like cone valve suspension or whatever, they can go to the WB truck and they can have a mechanic, like a suspension mechanic, watch what they're doing and tell them exactly how to rebuild the shock.
Yeah.
And I only know that from Scotty Britton or from when he went there.
But you'd only do that if you really had to. I don't reckon it'd be oil, air cleaner, oil me chain.
So I think what happened to him was the bottom of his shock unscrewed. And I don't know how this happened, right? But he bought a set of shocks from one of his mates in Europe somewhere, and they shipped them to Australia or shipped them to Dakar or whatever it was, must have been South America. No, it might have been Africa. I can't remember. Anyway, but his shock unscrewed. No, it was South America. Yeah. The bottom of his shock unscrewed itself and came out, and the fucking spring was exposed, and all the oil disappeared out of the shock. Yeah, and it was right at the end of the stage. And he goes, "Lucky it didn't snap the front of the bike off," sort of thing. And then so he screwed it back in again, like as best he could by hand, and then rode transport to the finish line, and then rebuilt it. But then when he went back to put oil in it at his box, he put the amount of oil he was supposed to put in it. But of course he didn't pull the shock all the way apart, did he? So there's still oil in the shock. So he hydrolocked the shock. So the next day he was riding the bike and it's just like a hammer, rigid as anything. Rigid as rigid could be because it was full of oil. And so he goes, I just unscrewed the top and just rode with it, squirting oil through it. And he goes, once it felt like half okay, I just put the screw back in again.
Perfect.
And he goes, it wasn't perfect, but it was okay. Yeah, and he goes, I had oil all over me, oil all over the navigation, oil all over the goggles, everywhere.
Which means oil, dirt, dust sticks to it.
Yeah, horrible, horrid. Like it wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's not ideal. But
it's an adventure.
It is an adventure, and there's so many things that can happen. And it was so like you said, 20 Jeep Rally GP guys started. What'd you say? 8 finished?
9. 20 started, 9 finished.
9 finished. How many guys in Rally 2?
Oh, it's the rest of the field essentially,
except for Mallee Moto.
Yeah, so there might have been 20 Mallee Moto, 20 GP. So there's 40, and there might be 140 in total. So there's 100 Rally 2. Yeah,
right. And what were you finishing most days in Rally 2? Like
top 10.
Top 10.
I might have got a 5th or a 6th on my better days.
And most of the guys, so that's the thing that you don't realise is once you get down to 8, like you're finishing 13th, let's say, for example, outright. Well, then you're finishing quite a distance up there in Rally 2 as well.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Rally 2, there's probably the top 10 riders or top 5 at least in Rally 2 really should be riding the GP class.
Yeah,
there's not enough positions. They're all vying for that position.
Yeah.
So the factory KTM ride, Edgar Canet, Rally 2 class.
Yeah.
The fastest rookie, he was Rally 2 class.
Yeah.
Finishing top 10 every day outright.
Yeah.
And then you got the guys on my team, Tobias Hebster, who's now on the Hero. Brad, this was only Brad's first year in Rally GP. Everything prior to this, he was Rally 2. Because you got
this year is, right?
Brad Cox this year is Rally GP. This is his first year. Yeah.
Fuck, man, his crash.
Dad was at the start line. Didn't video it, but there's probably photos of him helping Brad with his bike. Dad was there and watched it happen.
Dude.
Runs back to me. Because we sat there and watched it all happen too. All you hear is this, you know what a bike sounds. Tapped, well, I'm like, where's he gone? He's got airborne or something. Where's he gone? And all you see is
this crash. This is the worst crash. It looks when I saw it happen.
Dad might be that person back there. Yeah.
Watch this.
Yep, I'm flying through the air. This is not good.
Yeah,
Who's done that to him? That's great.
I screenshotted it. It's like, oh no, I'm flying through the air. This is not good.
Oh, that's funny.
But like, he's like 50 meters from the start.
Yeah. All he did was there's like a set of. I don't know how you describe it. They'll like washed out sharp edges, and he's just hit the first one, and I was still on the seat and thought he could bounce him, and it's just hit him wrong, and he's not a big dude, and it's just spat him sideways. But he was just off the start.
And that was his race done, hey?
Done. He tried to ride the rest of that, so it snapped all his nav tower and stuff off. Was there? Oh, probably on my phone. The photos of his bike after that.
Yeah.
His bars were bent, all of that. But he ended up pulling up halfway through that stage with concussion and sore neck and all the rest of it.
So dude, that's such a big crash.
That was the end of his rally, just like that.
And it's just so easy to happen. Like, that's how easy it is just to end your race.
Yeah. And surely, he could have chose a different line or a different way to do it. But at the same time, I'm sure if he went back not having that happen, he'd probably do the same thing again. Like
for sure.
It's almost like
it probably wouldn't. And if he did the exact same thing again and stood up, it would have been
fine.
Different.
Well, we all did it. Yeah. Everyone else did it at the same pace. It was just how he hit it.
I think there's a video. I'm not sure I put it up on the folder, but there's another video of you, and you go through it, and you just stand, and it goes and you keep ring, and it's like that's like,
all it is.
It looked like nothing. Like, and even I watched another video of a Spanish guy. I think it was a Spanish guy filming it, and like the rut that he hit looked like it was probably about that deep.
That's the thing.
It wasn't too bad.
They all tend to. It's like a row. It's especially the top bikes. They follow each other's track like to the T. Like they're in each other's wheel track, and just like. Almost like a railway line. Well, that's good sometimes, but more often than not, especially in the dunes and that, you want to be riding on, I liked riding on the fresh dirt. But they really, in the dunes they didn't, they started to split up a bit. But like that there, for example, when I got to it, I went a bit further right than what the main line was, and I was only 15 or whatever I was. But everyone up to that point was hitting the exact same. Because the first bike did it, they're like, I'm going to do it.
Until Brad
did that.
Cartwheeled.
Yeah. His ego, like he was so.
Must be bruised. Bruised
he's
ego.
He's a funny, like, I get along with Brad really, really well.
Because you were camped, did you say you were camped with Brad? No.
In Argentina.
Yeah, in Argentina. Yeah. So not Dakar.
No, he did want to try moving to the motorhome. He's a great, the South Africans, they're good with their banner. And
yeah.
It's much like us, we get each other's humour. So he's old man Alfie Cox. He was there for the whole rally as well.
Yeah.
So and Alfie's a cool dude, very down to earth and just sort of humbled and good little bits of advice. He's done plenty of it and been around and seen a lot. So
yeah, for sure.
And that's the thing, being in that team environment with those guys, is that's the level you're around. Like
it's a bit like you're the average of the five guys you hang around. Hey, like you hang around those guys that are fast, that give you little bits of advice and stuff.
Might have been 3 stage wins outright.
Yeah.
Out of the team, and Rally 2 wins nearly every day. Other than Edgar.
Yeah.
You talk the caliber of rider that, like, you're Mason Klein, Skylar Howes, Ross Branch, who else? Chucky didn't. Edgar did. These are all guys that came through Bass.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they must have good advice.
Well, they're considered the satellite team to Cato. So if KTM have a prospect they want to try out, they'll flick them to Bass.
Yeah.
Try, ride with those guys, get the feel for it, and come back.
Did you say Ross came through there as well?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what surprised me about Ross is he was 43 or something before he, or he's 43 now. But
43 now, wouldn't he? Fuck.
But he was old when he
started
becoming
if someone no one in their 20s really wins rallies. Everyone's 30 plus.
You need the brain. That's why.
Well, you need to make enough stuff up to work out.
like Mason Klein, he's just too much a bull at the gate.
Yeah.
No discipline. Like just fast. He's fast.
I rode with him because he would go have a really good day, then he'd have a shit day, then he'd have a really good day. So he was doing this leapfrog thing. And one day he started a couple of bikes behind, tagged onto him, and his bike speed's nothing crazy, but he can navigate really good.
Oh, really?
So that was one day where we both navigated together, and that's where it really went well. He'd get something wrong, I'd duck through, and it was that was the time when I'm like, well, I know my navigation's up to speed because I'm keeping up with Mason, who's considered to be one of the better navigators.
Yeah.
And he was leading that stage. That was the stage he pulled over and said, I've got pink eye. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, I've just been riding with you. Like you can see fine. I know you can. Yeah. He just does stuff like that. It just doesn't, I don't know. It's
strange
things, but no, nice enough dude. But yeah.
How did you, like, you've obviously improved your navigation quite a lot, like quite substantially compared to when you weren't racing overseas, for example. What did you do to train for that?
Just the exposure.
Just more of it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I've always, I don't know, taken to it. Like I can process stuff, implement it, learn it and implement it really quickly. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not very stubborn in the way where I like my way is my way and I'm just going to do it and stick it out. If I get to a situation and go, oh, shit, I didn't think about that. And then sure enough, I'm implementing that 10Ks down the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or something catches me out. I'm quick to be like
a quick study.
How did I get that wrong? That's what I got wrong. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
And that's sort of.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, like, and I'm trying to pick your brain, I guess, a little bit in some ways, because I'm so dirty myself about Safari last year. And then also I didn't get lost for too long this year at Condo, but like I was at the pointy end and I got lost for 10 minutes and fucked it all up.
Yeah.
And I mean, I agree. It's just more of it. It's just doing more of it helps you. You know what I mean?
I've sort of trying to put into words like how my process of when I come to it is something that's tricky or you get something wrong or I don't know. It's, I've always said like my bike speed I've never ouridden my navigation as well. Like I feel like my navigation's at this, like at that top level, but my bike speed isn't there.
Yeah,
That makes sense. So like I've never outridden myself. Where a lot of the fast guys, that's what they'll do. They'll ride so freaking quick they can't navigate as quick.
Yeah.
Where navigation's always been my strong point. I just reading terrain, and I don't know. I just must have that leftover brain capacity from riding that I've still got room to then calculate what's going on. I don't know. It happens naturally, so it's hard to. But as far as training's concerned, I did very little road book before I went and raced Dakar.
Really?
Very little. Yeah. Yeah. I did those 2 international rallies. Like, yeah, sure, we ride road books here too, but they're not at the same level or they're nowhere near as complicated as what we're faced with over there. Like, surely the principle's the same. Yeah, reading your tulips, you're reading your odometer. But once you've got that down pat, well.
But that's all I do mostly. I don't even read unless it's a complicated call. Like I get to it, I'm like, that doesn't make no sense. And I look down again and I physically read the note.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I just look at my tulip, as in I look at my directional part of the tulip. What does the track look like? What am I okay, it's like left around a dam or something like that, whatever it may be. And it might say, I might quickly read and it might say something about dam. And I go, that's definitely a dam. I got to ride around the dam wall or something like that. No problem. And then I look at the speed, like the distance, and that's all I do. I don't necessarily read with great detail what I'm actually going to do. And that's where I get caught out sometimes is because truthfully, it's more likely because I'm not afraid, but like I want to keep an eye on the track so I don't die. Yeah, yeah.
And as well, reading the terrain and being comfortable and confident with that is, I guess, a big the most important bit, because the more time you're not stressing about where you're going and not like picking your times to read the map and I only worry about single decibels on my odometer, so it's every 100 meters. Yeah. And to be honest, once you've got your odometer, it's within the next 500. Well, forget it. You know you're coming up to it. Then you go right on my tulip. Yep, I understand the tulip. Right, I read the notes. Okay, good. Now go back to the ICO. Never stop verifying. It's always next thing. It's just a process. You go, what's most important? My Odometer. Yep, I'm in on that. Righto. What's the tulip saying? Oh, that's a bit confusing. All right, read that. Okay, now I've still got time. I'm not at my note yet. Righto, go back to the odometer and go through that process until you get to that next call. And then if you get to that next call and it still doesn't make sense, we'll slow down and work it out. But hopefully by the time you've had that enough time in between calls to go through it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But in a lot of different terrain, you don't have that time. When we're riding the rocks and things, there was no way you could be reading tulips and bouncing through rocks.
That's what I mean.
So essentially, you nearly get to a call, mate. You go, oh yep, that's right, and then go and have that split second at the intersection. Just
slow down a bit more.
Yeah, that's the only way you can do it in that terrain because you are
so rocky.
Yeah, you're not taking your eyes off it.
No.
So
and that's the issue, especially when you okay, I guess one of the things too is I have trouble trusting whoever the fuck made the track.
Yeah, and how do they read the terrain?
Yeah, and they go, oh yeah, it's no problem. There's nothing out there until there is something out there and you hit it and you cartwheel.
Livestock, dead roos, branches, fences that have been put up by farmers that weren't there before. It all happens.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. This year, actually, do you know what was crazy? This year at Condo, there was a whole stage with gates that were blue, like open gates.
But they were closed.
Every gate was closed. And I was like number 3 bike on the track. I think I was number 3 bike. I think I was number 3 bike on the track. And I was like, what am I doing here? So I'm opening and closing the gates. And then another rider, Liam McConnell, caught up to me. And he's like, dude, they're blue gates. Just leave them open. I'm like, I know, but they're closed. So like open, close, open, close, open, close. And so we're open and closing gates. And then one of the boys, I won't say his name because I'll call him out, but he was like 20th, won the stage.
Gotcha.
Because someone opened, like whoever it was like, nah, blue gates, leave them open.
Leave them open, yeah.
And then he's like, wow, through all the gates and just like he was like 10 minutes on everyone else, like 6 minutes, whatever it was. It was crazy. It was a good amount of time. Like he killed it.
Yeah.
And so all the front guys open and closing gates. And then someone's obviously gone, no, they're blue gates, leave them open. And then we found out later the zero car didn't go through there. So
that's not ideal.
Yeah, so no zero car. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking dangerous.
That's bad, yeah.
Because you don't know what's happening. And I don't know how that occurred exactly, but I found out later the zero car didn't go through. And that's pretty obvious the zero car didn't go through there because the gates were all closed, right? So it makes sense. And I was like, ooh, dude. And I've hit a gate before, like at speed. Right. Like, yeah. And you see a blue tag on a gate and you go, that's open. And your eyes aren't that good to see the little mesh unless you really keep an eye on. And now I keep an eye on all gates because I've hit a gate, right? And it's a bad day. But
you hit 2 gates. You told me a story earlier today. Hey, count that as a gate?
I count as a gate or a conservation barrier.
I've lost fingers for the amount of accidents that you've told me about today, so I'd hate to know what you haven't told me about.
Do you know I worked out the other day? I was watching, and I got to say, the new bike's good, but I was also watching the TT's on, right? Isle of Man TT.
Yeah.
So I'm watching TT the other day, and I'm like, if these guys have one bobble, one mistake, if anything happens, it's death.
Oh.
It's death.
They're on a knife's edge the whole time.
It's death, right?
But man, it looks cool. Would never do it, but cool. God, it's good to watch.
It's so cool. But I was like, do you know what I need to do? I need to take the attitude of these guys. Like I need to take I do. I need to take the attitude of someone like Michael Dunlop. And when I say that, it's like I need to ride like any time I'm going to have an accident is going to be bad. Like really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of do, but at the same time, sometimes when you can't quite see, you're like, nah, you're right, and just hook in.
Give it a bit.
You just hook in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, truthfully, accidents, they're always your fault. But sometimes you're like, that was dumb. You shouldn't have done that. But then the last few years, I've had accidents where I'm like, a couple of small accidents where I'm like, okay, that was just an accident. You know, hit a few big washouts or whatever that's not on your road book or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a problem, but it's just a problem, right? But then other times you're like, just boom, crash. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't even know what I hit. You just crashed the bike. And it's like, how did that even occur? Like one of those things where you just don't understand how it occurred.
Yeah.
And Still to this day, I'm not sure, right? Sometimes. I mean, one time my clutch didn't work. So I pulled the clutch in, hit the rear brake, engine stalled, and then I cartwheeled. That was a think, right? But then other times it's just like, so things you think you can rely on, like, I'll just pull the clutch in, hit the rear brake. Fine. Normal thing to do every day, but the clutch didn't disengage or whatever happened or I didn't pull the clutch in far enough or whatever it is. Yeah, like you pull it into your fingers, normally that's fine. Like one finger to your fingers, normal, no problem. But whatever happens, the clutch is worn or something's going on. And that sort of thing, a mechanical problem. But I've had crashes, the last 3 big crashes I've had have been like, not unexplainable, but like that was bad luck. That shouldn't have happened. Like something you just do every day just shouldn't have happened. Yeah. And then I've been pulling my hair about it. And then the other thing I've been pulling my hair about is navigation. But the worst thing about it is it's made me more stubborn and more motivated to push, which like I said, I haven't been this motivated since I was 16 probably. Like it's ridiculous, right? And so,
it's navigation too seems to be the harder you try sometimes, the more that you stuff it up to.
Yeah. I think one of the things is not thinking when you're navigating is the best thing to do, and not second guessing yourself. So I mean, and second guessing yourself is thinking, right? You go, oh, is it that way? And you're trying to overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just turn when it says to turn. Just go straight when it's like,
sounds so simple, but just do what it tells you to do, and you'll be fine.
Like this year, when I got lost at Condo, it said go straight over a erosion bank, and I was following someone. I was fighting with someone. I was fighting with Liam O'Connell actually. I was fighting with him, and I was like in his dust, and we were fighting with each other. And I got a little bit off my notes, and it said to go straight over this gully, but it went straight over this gully into a fucking paddock. So there's no road there. The road went around to the left. And it went straight back. And I went over into the paddock a little bit, and I was like looking at him, and he's going to the left. And I was like, I've got this wrong. And I went to the left and followed him. And I went all wrong then. Yeah. And then me and him did circle work for fucking 10 minutes, you know what I mean? Lost.
And all you did was, you went.
And all I did was second guess myself. When it said go over the erosion gully.
Straight.
I kept going straight. And I went to and
did it have the side road marked?
No.
Yeah, right.
And then just off to the left was like a caution sign for the erosion gully, like not far, like 20 metres off. And I didn't look at it. And I turned back onto the road and kept going down the road. And we go down the road to a gate, and the gate's closed and it's locked and you can't get there. And then we're doing circle work around this quarry and stuff. And I'm like,
this is it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. This is where the fuck are we going here? And I'm like, I should have, they've done something wrong here. And then and then you get more confused. It's so frustrating.
There you go.
It's killing me.
That's what you're too stubborn and what are you? I don't know. You just, it's hard. You can't.
You just got to not think and just do your own thing. Just navigate.
So majority of the time when I'm here is because I'd be on the first or second or closer to the front on road. Generally, you have to navigate yourself, and it's better when you do. The years when me and Jake went back and forth, neither of us really made a mistake for the whole rally, and we're riding probably faster than what I ever would because you've got that guy pushing you.
Yes.
But when you're up front like that, it's generally easier, I think, than when every rally I've done overseas been 10th bike back or more.
Yeah.
Having all those tracks, you almost need to second guess yourself a lot more because you've got those tracks going the wrong way
for sure.
when you get to a tricky call. You've really got to have even more confidence in yourself to be like, no, I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And just follow what your instincts say and what the road book says.
What the road book says, yeah.
How did you find the digital road book again after Morocco? Morocco or Chef de 40?
I've had it at every international rally.
So it's every national rally now?
Yeah, well, in Morocco, it wasn't mandatory in Morocco.
Because it played a big part though, because Chucky had a lot of problems, hey?
He had a couple problems, yeah. So on the bottom, you can see I'm scrolling through there. So I've got it at like the minimum information on my screen. So it's mostly just the tulips and the map, right?
Yeah.
You can have it where you've got only 2 tulips showing at one time, and then you have your ISO and your cap heading, which are those yellow numbers up the top. But you see like that, how it's saying left, and then it's got those big arches in the road, and it's all, see how it's quite vague really, those tulips. They're not precise like they are here.
Yeah.
Like those tulips that arrow, or when you're going around gullies and things like that could go for 200 meters.
Yeah, before,
you know what I mean? Like that drawing stands for 200 meters of road, not for 50 meters, where here I feel like your tulips are more condensed. See, like they're going around the hill there, and you got all the roads coming in at the end. Like a lot more. Like the information's there, but it's just they're not as precise.
Is there? Does it need to be though? Because it's so open.
Because
or not really.
It's different terrain, so you wouldn't get away with that here. But then you've got the cap headings as well.
Yeah,
which helps.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and so you've got your cap heading on one ICO, and then your distance on the other one.
On the other one, yeah. And on there, we at the bottom, it had like your bivouacs and your waypoints, and that arrow was open at the bottom because I'd finished the stage. So as soon as you finish the stage, your transport waypoints are open from the start. Waypoint to waypoint, the arrow's open.
Yeah.
So that's why it was displayed on there. But the digital roadbook, I haven't ridden an international rally without it, so I wouldn't know the other one, like with the paper scroll and having your what do they call it, your RTF or your GPS on your bars. So what would normally happen is they'd have to cross-reference that, like you'd have your GPS going off down here, and then just your general paper scroll at the top. When you got to those waypoints, you just have to wait for your GPS to go off, and then bang, I've hit that one, and then off you go. Whereas now it's all inbuilt in that tablet. Yeah,
I know that you said you had some issues with glare and things like that
So the only when it's working, I think it's great. Other than the glare and the sunlight over your shoulder, but that can happen with the paper scroll a little bit too.
For sure.
But then if you it's only 5% of the time, if even that.
Yeah.
But I feel for the functionality of it and how it works, it's really good. But they had a lot of issues. I was lucky I didn't, but guys were just going completely black or they were losing GPS signals. So Chucky had a problem.
Where do you go then? That's the issue.
Well, they wait for the next rider and have to follow them. That's all they can do. But the thing with the rally...
And then where do you make a protest and say like... Okay.
Well, with the rally GP riders, they all had cameras mounted on their bikes that were watching the road book the whole time. The organisation put cameras like GoPros facing the tablet. So they were videoing the tablet the whole time.
What, on the bike or on the rider?
On the bike. Videoing the tablet the whole time.
So they can verify.
As soon as it drops out, they go, all right, that's when it dropped out. All right, we're going to give you your time back for where you were basically positioned at that point.
Yeah,
which also sucks because then all of a sudden they're riding the rest of the stage just
however they want.
Yeah.
Because they know that, okay, it's all good.
So it did happen, I say quite a bit, but it really wasn't that much, but it was, maybe half of us critical times.
But you think about the money, bike sales, everything that's at stake. To do those types of races. So, and then Chucky's roadbook fucked up, 3-4 times?
Yeah, they were going blank. They were changing them constantly. I know his biggest drama was he got a heap of speeding penalties one day, 8 minutes of speeding penalties for going through a speed zone, doing 50 instead of 30. But his GPS wasn't pinging. He was doing the speed limit, but the GPS didn't register it or something like that, or the other way around. Yeah. It didn't show that. Yeah, so he got done for it and had to prove it. He was lucky that he was with a guy right alongside him.
Yes.
At the same time.
That's good.
Otherwise, he would have had to cop it.
Yeah.
He had no proof that he didn't do it.
Yeah.
So, that side of it's annoying. But I think when it's working, it is better. But there's still got too many problems with it. Like the company that, I think it is RTF or whatever the company is, it's a French-run company. The same guys that built the older GPS now build the roadbook, and they're not... There's other guys out there that with better setups.
Well, I was going to say, like FR2 seem to have a great setup.
Yeah.
And it never seems to have any problems.
No.
But they're not running it.
But they don't want to run it. They want the French to do it and they want to keep it all in-house.
It's FIM and FIA.
Yeah. They don't want to let it go.
Like
There's literally people walking around the bivouac with prototypes and their own. And that has been at the 3 rallies, the same guy. He's willing to basically do it for free. He's got the tablet in his hand. He's like, just give it a go. And he's walking around watching all these issues and to build his own and see what he needs to do.
Yeah.
It's all to do, I don't know obviously enough about it, but how it processes data. And he said basically what you've got on your handlebars there is like a Nokia flip phone compared to an iPhone nowadays. That's how far behind what they're using is. And I'm not joking. He's like, that's how, far behind it is. Like, I don't know why they're doing it.
This is always a problem, whether it's F1 or whether it's Dakar or whether it's any of this stuff. The French want to keep the French stuff French.
Yeah. And it's honestly as simple as that.
Yeah.
They just don't. They're just...
And they will do whatever they possibly can, cheat, lie, steal, to keep it that way.
Mm-hmm. We're lucky in recent years at Dakar, ever since I went to South America, it started a bit, but then now in Saudi, whilst it's still French, it's not... not at all like it used to be.
No,
as far as how
Well, the other thing is too. Now it's owned by a different conglomerate too, where it was sold a while ago now, like 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah,
it was sold. And then it's been a bit different because it's owned by, is it ICTV or something like that? The same company that does the Tour de France and a few other things.
Oh, yeah. Like they always refer to it as ASO, but it's...
Is it ASO?
It might be ASO that owns it.
It might be, yeah. And so they're like a multi-million dollar multinational corporation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's probably a little bit more leeway, but the other problem is once you get FAM or FIA involved, they also dictate it because it's French as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they dictate the rules, so then you can't change things either, you know what I mean? So that causes a problem as well. But I mean, now it's a big business, you know. Yeah.
The whole organisation, how well run it is and seamless it is for the size of it is everyone that had a Dakar shirt on that was working there knew their role, knew exactly what they had to do and executed it perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
It was just so impressive how it ran, like the logistics behind it. We don't see it as competitors.
No.
But you see that, you know, enough to get it, but don't see really how much goes into it. But even the trucks and like the setup wasn't just, it was, these tents were, I think 30 by 40 metre marquees, 10 metre sort of ceilings, things that would take a week to set this thing up before you even could start to bring in your catering gear. And these are set up at every bivouac, and we went through, I think, 6 or 7 different bivouacs.
That's crazy, yeah.
And then they've got toilet and amenities that come along with it. There might be, you know, 10 or 15 semi-trailers just for toilets and showers, and at every bivouac, like it's massive. What, it's more like 3,000 people that move around with it.
Yeah, all the time.
As competitors and crew.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things probably now compared to when it was in Africa. And when it was in Africa, it was more rough, more not unorganised, but like make do. Whereas now it's a real professional event. It's really different to what it used to be.
Yeah, and challenging in different ways now. But you hear the stories of the original Africa races where it's, you know, hours between competitors, not.
Yes.
And they're waiting for a bloody ferry to get across the river, and that's on your race time. Shit like that. Like, obviously, there's so much money piled up in it now with manufacturers and stuff. You can't. It's got to be, a professional. And not to say it wasn't back then, but it sort of wasn't. It needs to be that professional and that higher caliber of event. It just can't be.
I think probably when, like, I would say when Cyril Dupre first started Dakar, when he was like, I think he rode an XR 600 or something, like something crazy, like when he built it home as a mechanic.
Yeah.
And then he went out and did really well. I think probably around that sort of time, it started getting really important for the manufacturers to say, listen, we have a car or a bike that can finish Dakar. That's when it becomes a real thing. And I think that's where, I mean, listen, I'm already half trusting of Cove, which is a Chinese-made rally bike, just because they've finished 4 Dakars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at least one bike's finished.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, especially for the price. Like, you want to go buy a Honda? Yeah, cool. You're going to go spend 35,000 Australian dollars.
Yeah.
I can go spend 10 grand.
And have a Cove.
And like, one of the things the way I'm thinking about it is I'll go and import a Cove from Kenya or from Africa as a practice bike, just to practice on, and then have a KTM over there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a bit different, fine.
But similar.
But similar. Similar weight, similar suspension, similar, all the things.
Close enough for what you're trying to do.
Like, there's definitely things already. I looked at the Cove and I'm like, that's a problem. No, I wouldn't have that like that. But like, okay, fine. Like, their filler holds like a straw to fill the case. And you're like, why is it so small? You know,
I don't want you to see what's inside.
Yeah, I don't know, right? No, and also,
I thought they copied the KTM a little bit, but maybe not. I haven't had a good enough look.
No glass eye to see how we oil it.
Right. No, that's backwards.
I'm like, what the fuck? Why? And then apparently the next year model, so the year model I rode was the year before, and then the next year model has an eye, but still has a little tiny pinhole for the filler.
See,
like, how can you do it? You got to get a straw in there and then pour it in with a straw.
They're leaving things, they can't upgrade it all in 1 year, otherwise it's not a new model.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're leaving little things that they can keep upgrading.
Things like no plastic, clear, a clear line down the side of the tank. How much fuel's in the bike? I don't know. You got a fuel gauge there. How do you know if is that accurate? I don't know. Like,
fill it up. Then
fill it up. Yes, there you go. You know what I mean? How many k's can you get out of this thing? I don't know. Like, run it out, see how it goes. It's just stuff like that. There's a few little things that need improving.
Which they're all crucial on a rally bike when you're out on the stage.
So. I think they are crucial because, I mean, your fuel gauge can say something, but I can see how much fuel's in the bike by looking at how much fuel's in the bike. You know what I mean? Oh, there's fuel on the right hand side, but the fuel pump's on the left hand side. Just tip the bike over and get some fuel over there.
Yeah.
You know, and there's things like that. You know what I mean? Where it's gonna save you potentially. You know what I mean? On a transport or whatever. So while how much because what year model is your practice bike?
That I've got
you
now.
Still have at home?
I've just recently sold it. It was a 23 model.
Yeah, right. So quite a new bike.
Yeah, yep.
And how much was that, if you don't mind me asking?
45 Australian second hand.
45,000 Australian dollars, right?
Yeah, brand new. They're 65, I think. Yeah.
I can probably get one a Cove for. Let's say at
production
most,
model.
Probably say but even if you say a rally model, let's say at least $15,000, $16,000, $17,000.
They're more than that, aren't they?
I don't know.
I reckon they're in the 20 something.
Still cheap though.
It is half price essentially.
Yeah, and you're going to get virtually the equivalent of a factory KTM bike with the more horsepower.
Just you can't feel the oil. You can't see how much fuel you got.
Yeah, you can't do it. There's a few problems. There's a few problems, but still, I mean, if you're going to try and practice for Dakar on some sort of a budget, it can work. You know,
there's ways.
There's ways to do it.
There was guys riding Melee Moto on Cove.
Yeah.
Yep.
And probably had no problems because they're not pushing the bike that hard.
No.
I mean, Mason Klein's going to have problems because he's revving the fuck out of the bike and really pushing it.
Clutches, but even then, I think I was told they put the clutch together wrong. That's why it. I don't know how you do that.
It let go. One of the other things is got a cable clutch. I don't like cable clutch.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good idea.
I don't think that's a good idea. You're going to change that?
No, it's not a good idea. I mean, at least hydraulic clutch is self-adjusting.
Yeah. No, hydraulic's definitely better. I agree. So just the way you said that made me laugh.
Yeah, I know. But like, it just doesn't seem like a good idea when you think about it because you think, okay, hydraulic clutch is self-adjusting.
Well, all the motocross guys and that love it because they get more feel, they say, out of a cable. Like Tomac and that, they like the way they can ride a cable clutch.
Yeah, maybe.
But you don't want to be doing that on a rally bike.
No.
Minimal effort.
Well, and you want minimal effort and you want to have something self-adjusting. So if in the middle of the stage it starts slipping, you don't have to stop and adjust it, or if you're not mechanically knowledgeable enough, you have to stop and adjust it. You know what I mean? These are some of the things that I think can potentially be a problem, you know. So but for the price, cheap bike. I mean, even if you're riding a standard one for 10 grand or whatever it is, it's like $10,000 is it? So it's like what, 13,000, 14,000 Australian dollars. It's not too bad.
It's not bad at all.
Anyway. Cove. Well, congratulations. I'm fucking impressed with how you went and it's it was great to watch you ride Dakar and finish so well.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me back on.
No, it's been great.
Telling a few little stories and some bobs, but
be good.
Yeah, I didn't miss anything.
No, all right. No worries then.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, mate.